Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you on this Thursday afternoon. No Brett Norsworthy. He'll be back with us on Monday, taking some time off. But it is a Thursday afternoon, and we have plenty to discuss. The Grizzlies, they were in action last night against the Golden State Warriors. It was a loss for them, another loss for the Grizzlies, dropping them to 21-36 on the season. The Warriors bounced back after a loss the night before against New Orleans. So we'll talk a lot about that game, that loss, what stood out to us in that performance. The Tigers are in action tonight at home against Wichita State. This is a Wichita State team that they've already seen once this season. It was a 15-point loss on the road in Wichita. We'll talk a lot about that game as well. So a lot of Memphis hoops that we'll get to. We'll also talk a lot of NBA. Keith Smith going to join us later in the show. We'll talk more Tigers with Greg Gaston when he joins us at 5 o'clock. Got to talk college basketball. It was a busy night around college hoops last night. We'll talk some NBA as well. And also the scouting combine going on right now. Landon, you are in charge. You are covering the combine for us because I have not had.
Well, believe me, my not top story is going to have a lot of information with that.
Good, because I have not been able to watch much. I've been pretty busy today, so I've not been able to watch much of the scouting combine. So we will certainly talk about that probably during 5:30 during what's trending. We'll talk about that and some other news, including what's on our screen right now. The Colts have given Anthony Richardson permission to seek a trade. So it looks like Anthony Richardson could be on the move. Obviously, it really just has not worked out for him early on in his career in Indianapolis. So plenty to get into this afternoon. But Landon, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Would anyone want Anthony Richardson right now?
I think there's a team that would
who would need him the most. Obviously, I think he would fit more of a backup QB role somewhere else. And I think if we learned anything from last season is that the backup QB role is kind of waning because there's a lot of teams that do not have a solid backup that they can rely on. I'm just struggling to think of any team that would really fit the mold for an Anthony Richardson right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously his contract, he's still on a rookie deal, but he was, a high draft pick. So, I don't know exactly what that looks like.
He's got good flashes, and he's definitely got a great deep ball. He can make a move when he does, but when he's been on the field for the Colts, I mean, everybody's going to remember his give-up play where he was just tired, so he took himself out. And, I mean, he's made some questionable plays while he's been out there, but still, his college tape still looks good for the limited time that he played at Florida. But, I mean, they're showing us highlights right now of how he can sling that rock, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he goes and helps out a Kyler Murray in Arizona or something like that. I know he's been a heavy topic for us, but I don't know. I don't know where his ideal scheme fit is, if there is one for him.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys had Joe Milton as their backup quarterback last year. Well, Obviously
he
different. Exactly. But, I mean, those are guys that in two completely different situations because Joe Milton was a later draft pick and Anthony Richardson obviously much higher. But, those are guys that coming off the bus. I mean, they're athletes. They look the part. They've got that rocket, that cannon of an arm. So, yeah, I think there are going to be teams that would be interested in bringing him in some sort of, hey, just here, we're basically going to let you try out with us, and you're going to be our backup, and maybe look at one of these teams that has maybe an older quarterback, and hey, we bring you in as backup, maybe we really like what you can do for us, and next year you're our starting quarterback. Obviously, a lot's going to change in Pittsburgh. I mean, in terms of Mike Tomlin, he doesn't feel like a Mike Tomlin type of quarterback, but obviously things have changed there. Maybe that's everyone keeps wanting to say that Aaron Rodgers is going to be back. Maybe, they say, hey, we'll bring you in and see if we like you. And
well, based on what Bo was telling us, it sounds like they want to rock and roll with Will Howard a little bit more. Being there.
How much trust you have in that?
I don't. I really don't have a lot of trust in Will Howard. But also, I haven't seen really any NFL tape from him. So I guess it's a little too early to judge him.
So who knows? I think there will be a market. I don't know how big of a market it will be for him, but I do think there is going to be a team, probably multiple teams
He'll
out
find
there.
A spot.
Well, yeah, that would at least want to give it a shot and try to make a trade, because I don't think you'd have to give up a ton to make that trade happen.
We're certainly not talking high draft picks here.
No, I would think because he was a high draft pick, the Colts would probably want more than what they probably are going to get for him, but I don't think it would be a massive trade for any team to go out there and get him. So we'll talk a lot of Combine, NFL, around 5:30 during What's Trending. But I mentioned the Grizzlies, they were in action last night. 133-112, the final score in a loss against the Golden State Warriors. It kind of same story, different day. A lot of guys out. We talked a lot yesterday about those guys that were going to miss last night's game with injuries and various different reasons. And so you look at who was out there last night, the starting five: Javon Small, Ty Jerome, Jalen Wells, Gigi Jackson, and Omax. And you really look at those guys. Got a really good night again from Gigi Jackson. Ty Jerome was good, and he's been really, really solid ever since coming back from that injury that kept him out most of the season. Javon Small continues to do some really nice things for you, but Jalen Wells continues to struggle, 3 for 8 from the field last night. Omax didn't really give you much either, 1 for 5 from the field for him. Taylor Hendricks, who, I think Taylor Hendricks has given you some really nice minutes, some really solid minutes. 28 minutes last night, 14 points. He was 6 for 11 from the field. Taylor Hendricks was always that guy that was, hey, he's going to be a 3-and-D type of guy. The three-point shot wasn't really falling last night. 0 for 2, but did have 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. I like some of the things he was doing. Ryan Rupert, the stat line doesn't look great last night. 3 for 7 from the field, only 8 points, did have 3 rebounds, had an assist, had a steal. I like some of the things he did, especially early when he got in there in the first quarter. And then on the other side, it was pretty much do whatever you want if you were the Golden State Warriors, another team that is dealing with a ton of injuries, but they got Al Horford back last night. Draymond Green, who had played the night before in New Orleans, he sat with that back-to-back, and all but one player scored 10 or more points in that game.
Yeah, that was a good team effort for him.
It was a little bit of everybody. Malevi Lions, I don't know. Lions, I don't know. I'm not familiar with him.
I take your word for it.
I did not know he was
Leons?
Leons. I don't know. Didn't know he was a player in the NBA before
he got
last
himself
night.
9.
He was the only player that did not score 10 or more points last night.
Let's just shame him.
That's right. Brandon Podziemski and Gary Payton II led the team with 19 points. But like you said, it really was just a team effort for them. 53% from the field, 41%. They made 19 threes last night against the Grizzlies. So kind of same old in terms of what the rest of the season is likely going to look like for the Grizzlies. But a lot of people talking about Gigi Jackson. I know we've talked about Gigi Jackson a lot about it. It's the biggest question, and it's going to be something that we don't really know the answer to until probably next season. And even next season, I don't know how much we'll know the answer to it of, is this Gigi Jackson turning a corner and kind of turning into the NBA player that the Grizzlies need him to be? Or is this just very similar to rookie year Gigi Jackson, where, hey, he's going to go out there and play a ton of minutes, he's going to have the ball in his hand a lot, and he's going to be in position where he can score a ton of points? I don't know. I mean, it looks very similar to that with his rookie year. And again, I don't think we're going to have a real definite answer until maybe at some point next year. But even next year, you could get into that game of what does this Grizzlies roster look like? But it has looked good for him. Again, 24 points last night. He led the team in scoring. But the hope is that, he is starting to figure out some of those other things so that when they don't need him to be option number 1, when he's option 3, 4, 5, 6, he can still contribute to this team. And I just don't think we'll get that answer until maybe next year.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there, and I think right now we kind of summed it up last time we talked about this Grizzlies team is the fact of it's kind of just like it's kind of like preseason action. You're going out there seeing what these guys really have. So when you go into next season, I know there's a lot of questions up in the air. What do we do with Ja Morant? Do we move on from him? Do we keep him? Obviously, if you move on, there's that big gaping hole that needs to be addressed. But I mean, right now you're seeing Gigi Jackson going out there and being that big guy on the court. He's showing you what you want to see from him, but still at that same token, it's kind of hard to sum up what his career is, what his career's been in the NBA so far. And that was part of what I was about to talk about is the fact of, I mean, some nights Gigi is just kind of like, all right, what are we doing out there? Like, let's figure out a game plan. And then you have a night like last night where he's all over the place and he's doing incredible. Just all up and down the court. And anytime that somebody can make a half court shot is always going to be an electric thing to watch and to see. So I think you're right on the money with him. I think next year, I feel like the rest of this year is kind of a tryout to see where he's at, where he's been progressing, if he will continue to progress. And then next season is when you really kind of, I guess, give him that shot to see, can you do it and roll with this starting lineup or not?
Yeah, no, I don't know exactly what his contract looks like. I think he has a $2 million option, and I believe that's a team option. Going into this offseason, I mean, with that type of price, I think you bring him back and certainly see what he can do for you next year when you have more of a full roster. But, I mean, we talked about it yesterday. This is really the time where the Grizzlies are looking at a lot of these younger guys and trying to evaluate and trying to see who can really be part of that core, part of that team going into next year and into the year after. You look at all of those guys that are injured that are going to play big roles going into next season. Now, obviously, Ja Morant, we have no idea what's going to happen with him in the offseason, if they're going to move him or if they're going to keep him around. And, I think we all think it's likely that they probably make a deal to send him somewhere else. But you look at some of those other guys. Do we see Cedric Howard again this season? I really don't know. Zach Edey, I doubt we see him. So, those big pieces that, everyone talks about being those cornerstones of the future, the centerpieces of the future. I don't know how much we're going to see of them the rest of the season. And so it really feels like this is going to be a time for this front office to really evaluate some of the more rotation pieces, some of the guys that will be coming off the bench next year. Now, we talked about Taylor Hendricks. He was one of the guys that was brought over in that trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. The other, Walter Clayton Jr., really hadn't figured it out since getting to Memphis, and obviously still very early. He got over here. He had one or two games and then suffered an injury and missed a handful of games and then has played the last 3 games. It was one game. So he got traded, played again at Portland on February 7th, then suffered an injury and missed a handful of games, returned at Miami last weekend and played at Miami, played home against Sacramento, and then played last night home against Golden State. And it's been a little bit of an adjustment. It's been a struggle right now, shooting about 35% from the field, only 21% from three, and averaging 8.2 points per game. So, certainly you look at, and obviously a much bigger opportunity here, getting 23 minutes a game rather than the 18 minutes a game he was getting at Utah. So seeing more run with the Grizzlies, and the point total is up a little bit from what it was at Utah, but you look at those shooting percentages, not really what you want to see. I really do think a lot of these guys, it's really kind of tryout time for them, and evaluating what this roster looks like going into next season and the year after, and continue to play the tank game and see kind of where it all ends up for them. But the Grizzlies now off tonight, obviously, and then back in action tomorrow night at Dallas. That's a Dallas team that very similar to the Grizzlies. It doesn't feel like they want to win very many games, but last night they were also, or no, 2 nights ago, they were in action and got a win on the road against the Brooklyn Nets, 123-114. I don't know, they're in action tonight, so they'll have a back-to-back. Just like the Golden State, the Grizzlies saw them on a back-to-back, they will see Dallas on a back-to-back as Dallas in action tonight against the Sacramento Kings. I haven't seen I'm trying to look right now. It looks like Cooper Flagg's still going to be out tonight for Sacramento. He has missed a handful of games, so we'll see if he is back tomorrow night against the Grizzlies or if he remains out. But we'll talk more about the Grizzlies and certainly the NBA later in the show. But let me go ahead and set it up before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, we'll talk a lot of Tiger hoops as they're in action tonight against Wichita State. We'll break down that game, the second meeting between these two teams after Wichita State got the win in Wichita earlier, it was, I think, late January. Kind of gets mixed up if that was late January, early February, a late January matchup where they won by 15 points. We'll talk about tonight's matchup, and we'll get to Tiger Bankroll. 3:45, we'll talk Grizzlies. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He'll join us. We'll talk a lot of NBA with Keith. We'll talk a little bit about the Grizzlies, but a lot about everything going on around the association. 4:30, we'll talk some college basketball. There's a lot of really interesting results last night. A handful of games in the SEC. You had the big story of what UConn did to St. John's last night. So a lot to get to at 4:30, talking some college hoops. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston. He'll join us to talk Tigers, as we'll talk a lot of basketball. We'll also get his thoughts. I know Greg has been on the call and will continue to be on the call throughout the season for baseball, as Tiger baseball had a massive win earlier this week, putting up 24, 25, a ton of runs, 20-plus runs on the road against Little Rock. So we'll get some brief thoughts from Greg about the baseball team. 5:30, we'll talk about what's trending. We'll talk some NFL in that segment as we've got the scouting combine. I was trying to push NFL talk as late as possible so we could hopefully get as much information as we could about what's going on at the combine today and all the news around the league, as the whole league is in Indianapolis for the combine. So we'll talk NFL at 5:30, then 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Moe's Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The Floor Model Spa Sale, it's going on right now at Family Leisure. It's time to make room. Deep discounts on over 100 display models and in-stock hot tubs, swim spas, and cold plunges. Have you been dreaming about a new spa? Well, now is the time to buy. Spas as low as $99 a month and over $1,000 in free upgrades with every spa purchased. $8,000 spas, only $159 a month, and free LED lights and waterfall on most models. Head out there to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. Should remind you, we'd love for you to be a part of today's show. Text call into the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. Direct all those texts to that number again, 901-360-8255. Your thoughts on the Grizzlies, their game last night, your predictions for tonight's game for the Tigers against Wichita State. Memphis, a 1.5-point favorite tonight against the Shockers, as we'll talk about that a lot in our next segment. And I should remind you as well that this first hour is brought to you each and every afternoon by our friends over at Lexus of Memphis. Brett tells you every afternoon about the great deals they have over at Lexus, and it's a perfect time to head out there. It's starting to get warmer outside, so it'll be nice weather to go out there, take a look at all these vehicles, even test drive them and find that beautiful new ride. They've got a great team out there that can answer any questions, help you out with any concerns you may have about these vehicles, and you know you're going to get a great deal and a great vehicle out at Lexus of Memphis. But let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it is the Tigers in action tonight against the Wichita State Shockers. This is a game that has already been played once. We know how it ended, a 15-point win for Wichita State. And the Tigers need some good fortune after 4 straight losses, 3 of them being on the road. But then what happened over the weekend against UAB, the Tigers need a win in the worst way possible. And we'll see if it happens tonight against Wichita State. This Wichita State team has been really, really good. They don't really shoot the ball very well. They're a good defensive team, not a great defensive team, but they really will beat you in the hustle categories, and that's really where they were able to do it in the last game. Now, the biggest question tonight is, will Aaron Bradshaw play? It still feels like we don't have a whole lot of certainty of what happened prior to Sunday's game against UAB, where Aaron Bradshaw, again, during the pregame show with Dave Woloshin, Penny Hardaway saying that Aaron Bradshaw would be a game-time decision, that they wanted to let him get out there and see what he could do before making that decision. Then he's in the starting lineup. I believe he did pregame warm-ups, went through a lot of drills and different things before the game, but I believe it was Jason Munz that reported he was not in the layup line kind of right before the game warm-ups, and then was announced in the starting lineup, but only played 48 seconds before being pulled out of the game. And then Monday night on his coach's show, Penny Hardaway saying it was a day-to-day type of injury, that it was really more pain tolerance with this injury with Aaron Bradshaw. So will he be able to go tonight? I know we've talked so much about the improved play by Aaron Bradshaw, but really it hasn't been, it's not like he's going out there and averaging 8, 9, 10 rebounds a game, but to have that size in the front court, especially when you look over at Wichita State, and in that first game, Will Berg, who comes off the bench for the Shockers, a 7'2" center who averaged, or I don't know what he's at, I shouldn't say average, had a double-double last game with 10 points and 10 rebounds, averages the most rebounds on this team. He could be a big problem, especially if you're missing your big man in the front court. So a lot of questions going into tonight's game. Doug McDaniel had the nice showing in the second half against UAB. What does he look like after really having some shooting struggles in the handful of games leading up to Sunday's matchup? So a lot of questions for tonight's game. We'll see if this Tiger team, again, a 1.5-point favorite at home, if they can get a win tonight, late tonight, 8 o'clock tip-off against Wichita State.
Yeah, this is definitely, like you said, a must-win for them, and I think they're due one. A lot of losing has been going on for this Tigers basketball team, so they need to turn that around and go to the other direction. My top story of the day was the NBA action that we got last night. We saw some great games, like we just talked about. The Grizzlies once again lose, which, as we know from yesterday, and we learned from yesterday, Darian is now cheering very, very loudly about this loss. I think I heard him from wherever he was doing whatever he was doing last night. So he's very overjoyed about that, and I'm sure a lot of Grizzlies fans are as well. But even still, we talked about this a little bit too. It's where does Gigi Jackson kind of stand? It's hard to summarize what his NBA career has been up until this point, but last night he had one heck of a game. 24 points, led the team in scoring, had 8 rebounds to boot as well. But even without Draymond and the Currys, Golden State kind of just did whatever they wanted to in last night's game and just kind of had their way with this Grizzlies team. But hey, it's no sweat off Grizzlies fans back, as we're seeking more ping pong balls as the season continues to progress. But I think the big game of last night was obviously the Thunder against the Pistons. The Thunder down Chet Holmgren and SGA, who is heavy in the MVP running again. Both of them out, so forcing Jalen Williams to really step up with a 30-piece. And despite all of that, the Pistons still get the job done with a big win over a really good OKC team. I believe Cade Cunningham last night had 29 points, 13 assists, 3 steals, and as we know from Darian as well, this is his new favorite player, and I think last night really stepped him up in his MVP candidacy for this year. I think right now, after everybody saw that game, how not only does he get it done on the offensive side of the ball, but how he's doing it on defense, getting blocks, hustling down the court. I mean, he's an all-around great player. That's exactly what MVP is to describe. So Cade Cunningham really played really well. And, 3 games in a row, I have to mention Darian once again. I think Sengun last night heard Darian mention of how he was not shooting as accurately as he did at the beginning of the season, which is factual, but I think he took that personally and decided to go out there and have himself a triple-double with 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. But on the other side of the ball, Russell Westbrook kind of putting up some crazy shots that were just somehow following through last night with 22 points, but not enough to defeat the Rockets. And how about that Spurs and Raptors game? The Raptors kind of one of those sneaky teams right now, sitting at 34-25 on the season. Definitely going to be making a postseason run. How far they go, I'm not entirely sure, but still one of those teams to kind of look out for. Brandon Ingram doing really well, quickly with him as well. Both of them scoring 20 last night. And then, of course, every single night that Jokic takes the court, you're going to see something incredible from him. I mean, he throws up the ball, somehow it finds the net, and it's incredible to see. He walks away with another 30-point game. He's looking really well. So of the MVPs, the only people we didn't see was Wemby last night. We didn't see SGA, but we saw Jokic and we saw Cade Cunningham, and they both made great cases for why they should be at the top of the league, and that's exactly where they're at right now.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, and it probably, if it wasn't for how big of a game it feels like it is for the Tigers tonight, and how big all of these games feel for the Tigers late in the season, this would be the big top story of the day, because it is a big story over at the Commercial Appeal. Our friend Jonah Dillon is reporting how much Memphis Athletics is spending in revenue sharing. It is being reported that Memphis has already spent $11 million on revenue share payments since July 1st of 2025. That's according to a presentation the department will make to the university's Board of Trustees on March 4th. We know with the new House versus the NCAA settlement, schools can pay players up to $20.5 million. And the American, they have said they want all of their schools to pay more than $10 million to those athletes over a 3-year period to remain in the conference, and Memphis has already cleared that number in less than a year. Now, there are other schools in the conference that have voiced their concern about what they'll be able to pay, and if they'll, will be able to pass that threshold, but it won't be like the Tigers in a year. Jonah talks about, for example, UAB is expected to spend only about $5 million this season. So I would say good news for Memphis and how they're spending this. I know Dr. Ed Scott, I don't remember where it was, talking to somebody, he said that the plan is to get up to that full revenue share, that they are not there yet, but they are working to get to that number. So I would say positive numbers coming out of the University of Memphis and what they're paying their athletes. The department said it signed 394 NIL contracts and have signed 58 new deals since January 2nd. So the athletic department working with NIL and rev share.
Yeah, they certainly are. Well, my not top story, kind of alluded to it earlier, is the top needs that these teams are going to be looking for, that they need to look for and address as the scouting combine is underway right now. I think, as we know, with the first pick of the draft and the Raiders, it seems almost unanimous that they're going to go with Fernando Mendoza to add on to that team, even though this team has a lot of needs that need to be addressed. One of them, namely, is their offensive line. But I think right now for them, given the situation and the circumstance, you can't roll with Geno Smith for another year. He led the league in interceptions this year. You can't have somebody like that in your backfield running this kind of offense. You need to go in a different direction. With the addition of Clint Kubiak, you get rid of Geno, likely going to be adding Fernando Mendoza, and a lot of different pieces that need to be added, namely their offensive line, as I mentioned. But you got one of the greatest, and who will continue to be one of the greatest tight ends in the league, in Brock Bowers. You get a good offensive line, beef up, you get some experience there, let Ashton Jeanty run, really find his groove in the NFL, and you've got some pieces to work to work with you. But as for things that the team should be looking for that can be addressed with the combine, a lot of these teams, and for drafting purpose, are looking to the defensive side of the ball. I think particularly the NFC North as a whole are all looking for defensive linemen, linebackers, people to add up beef and add up some new young talent to continue to grow in that division. I think, too, one of the biggest questions right now is whether or not Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals is coming back. Once again, he's up in the air talking about contract disputes, wanting to go somewhere else. And if anything's been evident over the past few years is that the Bengals need a lot of help on the defensive side of the ball. But when it comes to people who are looking for defensive lineman additions, the Jets, Jaguars, Ravens, like I said, the NFC North, even the Texans, who a lot of their, as we know, the Texans had one of the best defenses in the entirety of the NFL, but relied a lot on veteran experience, which did really well for them. But these guys are now approaching quickly on expiring contracts. So what is that going to look like going forward for them? Safety and cornerback are some of the other big addresses that need to be taken notice of, especially when it comes to the Titans, who basically cleared out their house of cornerbacks last year. And, everything going on with L'Jarius Sneed, always being hurt, never really being reliable, not playing a lot. Talks in the air of whether the Titans should cut or keep this player. Definitely need a lot of help from them. And then teams like the Bills, who we know they need wide receiver help, but at the same token, they also need safety help. Moving on from Mike Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, definitely hurting them on the defensive side of the ball. But there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. And for your Cowboys, the clearest thing that y'all need is defensive help. That includes their linebacker, edge rusher, interior rusher, cornerback, safeties, you name it. The Cowboys need help on defense. So there's a lot of stuff out there to look for. So a lot of, if your team's out there, definitely be keeping a close eye on what can be addressed with this upcoming draft, because it's not going to be very top heavy, but a lot of positions can be named and can be helped out from seeing what these guys can do in the scouting combine.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of questions, and hopefully we get some answers, especially with some of these players. We're talking on ESPN right now about Ty Simpson. He's planning to throw at the scouting combine. Maybe some answers on some of these players going to be in the draft. But we need to get to our first break, and when we return, we'll talk Tigers and Wichita State. We'll also get to Tiger Bankroll. That comes your way next on Sports Time.
You have opinions?
I think it's over.
Of course you do.
I don't think it's that simple.
Everyone does.
I got all the answers.
Hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Men, if you're tired of relying on pills and want lasting, natural performance in the bedroom, Bluff City Health and Wellness offers Apex RF. Backed by clinical research, this discreet 15-minute, non-surgical treatment boosts blood flow, sensitivity, and confidence. No pills, no needles, no side effects. Appointments are filling fast. Call Bluff City Health and Wellness today at 901-800-7606 or take the ED quiz at bchwonline.com. Bluff City Health and Wellness, your confidence in the bedroom naturally.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Progressive knows that boat days can come with unexpected problems.
Oh no, I dropped my lip balm in the water. I can't think of anything worse than the looming threat of potentially having chapped lips. Ah, it was ginger vanilla too, my favorite flavor.
If a real problem comes along, your boat's protected 24/7 with Progressive, so you can keep worrying about boater problems. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in D.C.
Sports 56 Traffic. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you, and we've got to talk some Tigers as they're in action later tonight. A late game at FedEx Forum as it's an 8 o'clock tip-off tonight between the Tigers and the Shockers. The game will be on ESPN2. So if you aren't heading down there and want to watch it, it will be available on ESPN2. But it feels like a big game. Hopefully a lot of people going down there to support the Tigers tonight because it's been a struggle recently. You talk about the 4 losses. You talk about those 3 road losses. But then coming back to Memphis and returning to FedEx Forum and taking that loss against UAB. First time UAB has beaten the Tigers in Memphis since 1999. So not the loss that the Tigers wanted. So looking for a way to snap that 4-game losing streak. And tonight against Wichita State, again, this is a team that has already beaten you once this year, but that was a game in Wichita. Now at home, we'll see what it looks like. We talked earlier about that line. We'll get to Tiger Bankroll a little bit later in this segment, but that line at Memphis, a 1.5-point favorite. Right now, I've got KenPom pulled up. KenPom predicts Memphis will win 71-69. So KenPom has Memphis winning by 2 points. Only a 55% chance of winning the game. You look at the KenPom for the next 4 games, has 3 wins, 1 loss. In the 3 remaining wins, that is the lowest percentage of chance to win that KenPom has for the Tigers, 55%. So very close to a toss-up against Wichita State. And we'll see how it looks tonight. It definitely is a game the Tigers would love to have.
Yeah, they definitely need it too, especially turning around with a conference tournament just right around the corner. You kind of need this. You need this one in the left-hand column because you want to try to go for that triple bye because losing these games out, one, you're in jeopardy of not even making the conference tournament if you lose out these games, and then on the other side, you want to make it for a better schedule for yourself going into this tournament because right now, as we've seen, it's a lot easier for these Tigers to lose a strain of games than put together a series of wins. So you want to put yourself in the best case scenario, whatever that looks like, whatever fight you have left in you. You definitely want to go out and, like you mentioned too, it's a kind of up in the air of really who shows up tonight. I mean, Aaron Bradshaw is still day to day with his injury. We'll see what the game time decision is there. I think it greatly depends on what kind of a performance we get out of Doug McDaniel. I know last time that we talked with Greg Gaston, he was saying that Doug has to step up into that role and be that guy who's been our top scorer this year. Go out there and do his job. And I think you mentioned him being sat out that last game was really kind of a wake-up call for him to say, yeah, I need to be that guy who is that shifty leader to go out there and get those buckets. So it's definitely going to be a team effort. I know Jonah Dillon had reported that there was a little bit of overconfidence on the other side of these Wichita State players. So I think not the Grizzlies, the Tigers. I think they're due one tonight, and so hopefully they go out there and they get it done.
Yeah, so you brought up a couple things that I wanted to talk about. One of them being what you said about the overconfidence. Jason Munns tweeting earlier today, he quote tweeted his initial tweet that said Memphis opens up as a 1.5-point favorite over Wichita State. Then he quote tweeted that and said, had someone tell me that they talked to some Wichita State players at the Grizzlies game, last night's game against Golden State, quote, all felt like they would, let me try again. Quote, all felt this will be an easy win, said it would be a 30-point win. So certainly some confidence there. Now, obviously, when you are a player on a team and you're at a opposing city and you see some of their fans, it's very easy to, of course we're going to win. That happens all the time. But, they probably should have a lot of confidence coming into Memphis playing this Tiger team with how they've struggled in recent weeks. But you also talked about the conference tournament. We know the different format this year, only the top 10 teams going down to Birmingham. The top 2 seeds get a bye all the way to the semifinals, which won't be until Saturday, March 14th. And then the 3rd and the 4th seed will get byes to the quarterfinals, which is Friday, March 13th. Then 6 and 5, they will not play until Thursday. And then 7, 8, 9, 10 will all play in that first round on Wednesday, March 11th. So if you are inside the top 6, you at least don't have to play until Thursday. And then if you're certainly in the top 4, you get that double bye into the quarterfinals. And obviously the top 2, they do not play until the semifinals. So you look at where the Tigers are right now. I've heard a lot of talk about, the Tigers they could miss the tournament. I mean, I guess technically speaking, they could miss the conference tournament. They have 4 games left, and they just have to be better than Rice. Now, the thing is that Rice and Memphis played once this year. They only played one time this year, and Memphis won that game. So if those two teams are tied at the end of the season, Memphis would have the tiebreaker and would get the benefit of the doubt and would be that 10 seed. So you're looking at this. Right now, Memphis is in 7th place. Behind them, Temple, who Memphis has beaten, Florida Atlantic, who Memphis has split, and North Texas, who Memphis also split. And those would be the teams that would make it. North Texas would be the 10th and final team to make the conference tournament. So right now, Memphis has a game advantage over North Texas, who would be the last team, a 2.5 game advantage over Rice. So really, Memphis would have to lose out and Rice would have to win some games down the stretch of this season for Memphis to even miss the conference tournament. You look at what Rice has coming up, Temple, North Texas, UTSA, I would find it very hard to believe that they win all three of those games.
UTSA ain't making it. I can confidently predict that.
No. I'm saying that's Rice's schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah.
But so I'm saying, like, they would have to win all three of those games, and then Memphis would have to lose all 4 of their games. I think out of those 3, Temple, North Texas, and UTSA might be the only game that Rice wins the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I think it would be really tough. Yeah, there is a possibility. Yeah, it could happen. I think it's very unlikely that Memphis misses it. Now, you kind of start looking around. How far could they fall? Yeah, I mean, they could be sitting in 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10. I think, obviously tiebreakers and stuff would play in and a lot would have to happen. They could be anywhere in this. And now talking about going the opposite direction, they're only a game and a half out of 4th place. And that is UAB, a team that they've split with. So, you rattle off 4 straight wins, and hey, maybe you can grab that 4th seed. As of right now, based on I think everything we've seen from this team and the remainder schedule, I don't think that is what is going to happen. I think they will be somewhere in this 6, 7, 8 range that they're kind of in right now, and that's not a great spot to be in when you talk about how the conference tournament is set up now, because that means right now, let's just say that the conference tournament started today with how everything is seeded. Memphis would be the 7th seed. They'd be playing the 10 seed, which we talked about would be North Texas. That would be a 8:00 Central Time start on ESPNU. Wednesday, March 11th. If they won that game, they would turn around and play the 6th seed, which would be Tulane right now. So they would turn around the next day and play Tulane. It would be another 8 p.m. tip-off. And then if they won that game, they would have to play currently the 3 seed in Wichita State. And then, then you get into the semifinals and you're playing one of the top 2 seeds. So, long story short, you'd have to play teams that you've, kind of struggled against this year at times.
Yeah.
And you would have to win all of these games to try to make it to the NCAA tournament, which, would absolutely be a long shot at this point where it looks like they're going to start. But, we talk about this being an important game for Memphis in terms of seeding for the conference tournament. Very important game for Wichita State as well. They sit right now 2 games out of 1st place where South Florida is sitting right now. Now, you look at the rest of the way, Wichita State, I believe, including tonight, only has 3 games remaining. So they got to go out there and win all 3 games and have South Florida struggle down the stretch if they want to get the number 1 seed. Now, they could very well, they're only a half game back of that 2 seed, which is Tulsa right now. So they could absolutely jump Tulsa and get that 2 seed, which we know, again, we were just talking about it. If you are the top 2 seeds, you do not play until Saturday in the semifinals. So Wichita State absolutely wants to go out there tonight and beat Memphis on the road and continue to stack wins so that they can try to get that top 2 seed. So, it feels like a very important game for both teams. It feels like both teams, this isn't going to be one of those where Wichita State comes in and they're, oh man, we're top 3 in the conference, and Memphis is way down there and we don't really care about this game. No, they're going to absolutely care about this game tonight because they're going to want to win it to try to get better seeding. So we'll see what it looks like. You mentioned Aaron Bradshaw. I'm very curious when we will get the player availability report. I have not seen it yet. I'm sure that will be something that I don't know what the conference slate looks like outside of Memphis tonight. I know that's something that they usually try to get out about 2 hours before the first tip time. So if that's 6 o'clock, then we could see that around 4. If it's if just Memphis is in action or a 7 o'clock, it could be a little bit later. Let's see.
I think it's Temple at Florida Atlantic
at 6 o'clock.
6, yeah.
So hopefully around 4 or 5. If it's not out, I haven't seen it. If it's not out, hopefully we get the availability report at some time. We probably won't learn much from it. It'll probably be Aaron Bradshaw questionable. I mean, the best news would be if he's not on there at all. But it'll probably be something like questionable for Aaron Bradshaw tonight if I had to guess. And then it will be kind of the same thing of, hey, get out there, see what you can do. We'll see if you can play for us tonight. And, I think you're right. Doug McDaniel is going to be big. Sincere Parker has been on an absolute tear, but really struggled against UAB.
See how he bounces back from finally having all those charges dismissed, because obviously that's going to take a mental toll on him. So being freed from that, we might see a different Sincere Parker out there.
Yeah, I mean, you say that. I mean, he's been great.
He still has been playing.
Yeah,
good.
You wouldn't really notice that there's other stuff going on off the court. So yeah, I mean, maybe you unlock a different level of Sincere Parker. So definitely a lot of questions for this Memphis team as they look to snap a 4-game losing streak. But quickly, we need to do Tiger Bankroll before we get to a break. We talked about where everything sits with Tiger Bankroll the other day. We're going to play it off at, I'm assuming it's still Memphis minus 1.5. The line,
I haven't seen anything different.
Yeah, may have changed. I haven't really looked at it today. But looking at the Tiger Bankroll standings, I'm in the lead right now. I have a 16-11 record picking Tiger games this year, and I'm at 1190 in terms of total money. Landon is currently in second. He is 11-16 on the year. He is at 880, and then Brett is in last. He is at 360. He is 10-17 picking the Tigers. Landon is 11-16 picking the Tigers. So I guess that means I have to go first tonight because of that rule we put in place a couple weeks ago. Oh, man, this really is a tough one. We talk about it all the time.
It's up in the air, man.
I think where they've been putting these lines for Memphis games have been really, really solid. I think they're at the exact right spot where it makes it tough. I'm going to go with, what am I at right now, 1190? I'm going to go Memphis, give them one more shot at home. I'm going to go Memphis for $20. As low stakes as I can go.
I thought lowest was $10.
Well, I'm not going to go that low.
So you're doubling the lowest.
I'm going to go as low as I personally feel.
Man.
I don't ever want to place $10 on a game. So as low as the personal Bryant scale of how low I can go would be $20, and I'm going to put 20 on the Tigers tonight against Wichita State. That means you're up, Landon.
Yeah, I've been alluding to it. I really feel like Memphis is due one, and at a 1.5 point favorite, I really don't see any margin where Wichita either makes it a 1 point game, anything like that. Now that I say it, it probably will come down to that. But I think I am going to roll with the Tigers here. I think they need one. They desperately need to go out there, show some fight, get that win under their belt against a Wichita's team that, I mean, we've been mentioning it all day on this station of how neither team can really shoot, so it'll really come down to who plays better defensively. And I think if Memphis really cracks down on that, you could see a pretty good matchup. So I'll roll with the Tigers here.
Man, I really thought, how much?
Let's I don't want to be as cheap as you, so let's go $30.
Okay. I really thought everybody was going to be on Wichita State because I really wanted to pick Wichita State, but I thought I didn't want to have a group lock. I wanted to try to buck the group lock, and so that's why I went with Memphis. But then you're on Memphis, so that means Brett is going to be on the island alone. He's going to take Wichita State plus 1.5, and he is going to take them again, sitting at $360 on remaining for the season. Now we're only got a handful of regular season games left, but he is at $360. He's going to put $300 on Wichita State plus 1.5 tonight. Hopefully,
I'm really rooting for Brett here.
Yeah, I mean, look,
after that, what can he do?
I don't want him to be down at 60. That is for sure. But we need to get to a break, and when we return, we're going to switch gears a little bit, continue talking hoops, but we will talk the professional team in the city, the Grizzlies. They took another loss last night against the Golden State Warriors. We'll discuss it next on Sports Time.
Not only can you listen to your favorite shows on Sports 56, you can also watch video of the shows live on Twitter and YouTube. Watch and listen every day at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Fun, exciting, friendly, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs. 24 taps for all your beers, including $3 domestic and $5 craft pints on Mondays. Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 happy hour. Music bingo Tuesdays. Daily specials and online ordering. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Highway 70. Check Facebook for daily specials and weekend music at the Owner's Box.
Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis has serious vans for serious work. At 4430 American Way, they are the Mid-South source for cargo, passenger, crew vans, and custom chassis. Need one or a full fleet? New or used? They've got it with fleet solutions and custom upfit. Certified techs keep you moving with fast maintenance, repairs, and a large parts inventory. Mercedes-Benz Van Center is your Sprinter Van headquarters. 901-237-9302 or sprintervans.com. Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis, part of the Tag Truck Center family, driven to keep you on the road.
Stugatz here. Israel's a hot topic right now, and with so many opinions and emotions surrounding it, it can feel hard to know where to start. The Bible tells us, I will bless those who bless you. That isn't just a comforting promise, it's a clear calling from God. And today, with anti-Semitism rising around the world, that calling is more urgent than ever. When Christians choose to bless Israel, we are not entering a political issue. We are honoring the root of our faith and standing against hatred. Supporting Israel is more than a belief, it's a biblical mandate. And by partnering with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, you can push back against darkness and be a light to God's people. Learn how you can bless Israel and be blessed in return. Visit ifcj.org today. Again, that's ifcj.org. Be the blessing, live the word, answer the call.
I can't tell you the number of times I've heard people tell me that they wanted to wait until spring to put their home on the market. This is Sheldon Rosengarten at Marks Bensdorf Realtors, and think about it. In March, April, when the azaleas bloom, so do the real estate signs. More competition. We've been in an unusual market in the last year, and to get an edge on other homes on the market, make sure and talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. I've developed a highly successful strategic marketing program that can mean the difference in what you make and when. From the preparation before you go on the market to the presentation and keeping you informed every step of the way, it's rare that we cannot provide results. That's why people often say when you want the job done, call Sheldon at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Write it down or call me now, memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left in this first hour, and we're going to talk more NBA in our next segment when Keith Smith joins us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. But the Grizzlies, it was another loss last night. Discussed it a lot to start the show. Pretty much anything and everything the Warriors wanted to do last night, they were able to do. 133, 112, 34, 40, 22, 37. That was how many points the Warriors scored in each quarter, 22 being the outlier, because after that, it was 34 or more in each quarter.
Yeah, those some insane leads last night.
It was.
I was surprised they scored 112 on them.
I know, I was too. I was watched a lot of it live, went back and watched the replay of it because I had kind of in the middle of the game had to go do something. And I looked down at my phone at one point because, like I said, I think I watched like the first half of the game and then the last couple of minutes of the game. I missed a lot of the third quarter. I looked down at my phone during the third quarter at one point. And I was like, "Wow, that's a score right there.
That's a lead.
That's a lead." So
yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, but like I'll be honest, like this Grizzlies team, and please, if you disagree with me, like I'd love to hear from you. I think the Grizzlies are tanking the right way. Now, I think they're starting...
Oh, I've been in agreement with you. I think they're doing a masterclass of what tanking is supposed to look like.
I don't know if I want to go masterclass because I think there's...
I would. I would.
Well, listen to me. I think they're slowly we're starting to see them keep guys out and guys get injured. And like Santi Aldama, I'll be curious and hopefully we'll get a status report at some point later this evening. But Santi Aldama has been listed with injury management every game since returning from the All-Star break. They've played 4 games. Only 2 of them have been back-to-backs since returning from All-Star break. He has been out with injury management for all of those games. Now, maybe injury management means something different, and he's rehabbing this
needs
injury.
To be looked at, man.
I have no idea. Cedric Coward, it was like a long time before we ever got an answer on his injury, and we still don't really know. Like, I don't think, and I need to go back and look, but I don't think we ever got the Cedric Coward will be reevaluated in X amount of weeks or something like that.
I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah, if we got something like that, I completely missed it. So we haven't got anything like that. Like the John Morant getting reevaluated, and it was the original was he'll be reevaluated in 4 weeks or something like that, and then it was he'll be reevaluated in 2 more weeks, and so I feel like they're slowly starting to get into that range of we're just not going to play anybody. But the guys out there, and again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but they have a lot of guys on their roster that's getting a lot of playing time right now that are either on 2-ways or 10 days or kind of their contract is starting to come to an end, and they're really trying to show, hey, I can be a part of this future.
Yeah.
And even if it's not here, let me get enough on tape to show another team that, hey, you want me on your roster. And that's the biggest thing about tanking is you hear so many people talk about, well, tanking, everybody involved should be aware or isn't aware of the tanking, and players are out there wanting to lose the game and different things like that. That's not the case at all. Like a lot of the times the guys you're seeing on the court are the backups, are the role players, are the guys at the very end of the bench that don't see a lot of playing time. Why would they go out there and play terrible on purpose? Like it doesn't make any sense. Those guys are trying to have a career.
On shaving points at that at that degree.
So like if you're Walter Clayton and you're just now getting into the league and you're trying to show, hey, I can, maybe Walter Clayton, a poor example because he has been shooting the ball very poorly. Javon Small. We'll go Javon Small. He had a nice game last night.
He did.
Javon Small's on a 2-way right now. So this is a guy that, isn't on a standard NBA deal, is trying to work his way up to that. And obviously the Memphis Grizzlies have liked to bring in guys on 2-ways and then ultimately give them a standard NBA contract. So every time he's on the court, he's saying, and I don't know, I haven't looked it up, if his is a 1-year 2-way or a 2-year 2-way. He's saying, hey, this is a 2-way contract. First off, I only have X amount of games I can play in the NBA this season before I have to be sent down or be put on a standard contract. And I'm only on this contract for either 1 year or 2 years. So every time I'm on the court, I've got to go out there and make the most of it if I want to continue to be an NBA player.
Yeah.
And so, I do think you're seeing some nice performances. I think, obviously, when you look at that result, you didn't get it for the full 4 quarters. But I thought the first quarter, the Grizzlies were very competitive. You look at that fourth quarter, they put up 36 points in the fourth quarter. It was really those 2 middle quarters, 22 points in the second, 23 in the third, where they really, really struggled. But I do think that this Grizzlies team, kind of like what you were alluding to, of the master class or masterpiece, whatever you called it.
Masterclass.
It really feels like they're going out there and kind of making you intrigued about the game.
Well, yeah.
And then kind of at the end, they kind of fall apart.
Yeah. I mean, there's 2 different ways to approach tanking. You do it the way in which you get fined, which you intentionally sit players like the Jazz and the Pacers did, which I think was justified. I mean, I remember talking with Andy about that and basically saying this was literally a rule implemented and they're just backing their rule that they have in place. Then you have what the Grizzlies are doing, and that's, getting these guys in rotation, moving them around, getting these guys that you don't really see, not very familiar with, going out on the court and basically, like we've been saying, giving them a chance to prove if they've got it or if they don't. But one thing I think that I'm learning or just reaffirming, I wouldn't necessarily say learning, is how much I loved when we acquired Ty Jerome and how much I love seeing him on the court continuing to do what he does. Yeah. I think going forward in the next year, I would be more upset losing Ty Jerome than just about anybody else on this team just because of how much he's been contributing to the Grizzlies Grizzlies every time he's on the court.
And that's something I do want to ask Keith Smith in our next segment.
Oh, for sure.
Because I do think Ty Jerome is going to be one of those guys to watch, because I don't know if Ty Jerome wants to be around for the rebuild, or if his contract really builds into being a part of the rebuild. So he could be a guy in the offseason that the Grizzlies could trade. And
we better get some. If they do go that route, we better get something big in return, draft picks, whatever it looks like.
He's been really good.
Ty has been, from the moment I knew he was coming over, I was ecstatic, because the guy can shoot, and he's been proving that.
He's been really, really good. Well, we need to wrap up this first hour, get to a break. When we return, we're talking more NBA. Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show, he joins us next.
Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Available locally on your radio dial as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, it's easy to stay tuned to Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With over 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Hi, I'm Parker Trotz, a proud partner at NST Injury Attorneys. For over 35 years, we've been fighting for Memphis families after serious accidents when insurance companies are trying to pay as little as possible. We don't back down. We've gone toe-to-toe with insurance companies and won big for people right here in Memphis. If you've been injured, the call is free, and you don't pay unless you win. NST is the way to go. Call 683-7000 or visit nstlaw.com.
Ken Garland, you are in your 72nd year of business. Your son William is now joining you. What do you think is the key to your longevity in the building business?
My dad started the business in 1965, and I think being on the job sites daily and being accessible to homeowners has been a key to our success.
You guys have a work ethic, as you like to say. You're not hiring people to be on the site. You guys are there every day.
We interact with the subcontractors multiple times a day on each job site. I think that has been a key, as well as using the same subcontractors 20 plus years in most cases.
When you talk about materials, what is the first thing you're thinking about when somebody comes to you to build a home?
We're just trying to meet the expectations of the client and the homeowner and the architect and give them what their dream is.
When you get a Ken Garland home, what do you guarantee?
We'll be there after the job is finished. We're still accessible to all our clients.
Now I need to know, how do I get a hold of Ken Garland?
You can reach us at kengarland.com.
Sports 56 Traffic.
Good afternoon. Cranking it pretty good right now, going outbound on Sam Cooper as we check it out live here up by Perkins. Steady flow of traffic pushing south of Memphis on the interstate. A little bit of radar down through DeSoto County. That was earlier, so be careful all the way down to Tate County as traffic gets a little bit heavier the last few minutes on I-40, especially up here at Watkins coming off that 101 connector. Bridal season just around the corner. Always shop local here in Memphis and you'll save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Memphis's original sports station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Landers Ford in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back in to Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you. No Brett. He'll be back with us on Monday, but we've got to talk some NBA, and we do it at this time every Thursday with Keith Smith.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us now from Spot Track and the Front Office Show to talk all things NBA. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get into, but I do want to start very briefly with the Memphis Grizzlies, and not even really what's going on with them on the court right now. We know what they're doing. It's tank season. They don't have a lot of bodies out there, and the losses are stacking up. But I think a lot of people have started looking at the guys that are out there right now, for the most part, are more, when you have everybody available, more rotation pieces. It really feels like the Grizzlies are kind of almost, it's like a tryout every night of, hey, who are guys that we can keep around with us next season and can be rotation guys for us next year and into the future. And one of those guys that has been a big talking point has been GG Jackson. Obviously, the conditions with his rookie year were very similar to what they are right now, and he thrived in them and got the standard contract. But then you saw the next year when everyone was back, he kind of struggled and really struggled to find his role on the team. Now, very similar conditions to his rookie year, and he's having a lot of success on the court. Do you think this is just, hey, it's the same thing? This is a guy that when he gets the ball in his hands, he's a really good athlete and a really good basketball player in terms of shooting and shot making, that he can just go out there with all the usage he's getting and get buckets, and it really struggles. He struggles when he's the 4th, 5th, 6th guy out there? Or do you think maybe GG Jackson is starting to come around and really develop as an NBA player?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because you don't want to ever write off a young player like him and just say, oh, this is just, garbage time games, and he's putting up numbers in games that don't matter, because he is putting up numbers, and that, is better than not putting up numbers. So we'll see. I mean, I think if we the Grizzlies go into being a more competitive team next season, and that remains to be seen if that's the direction they'll take or not, then we'll kind of have a better feel for what he's doing. I'd like to see what he looks like when he's playing alongside another, like a real center type player, because right now they're playing these extreme 5-out offenses, and he's getting a chance to kind of work against all kinds of different players and those kind of things. So it's all good reps and experience. I just, at the end of the day, I mean, the production is better than not being productive, but you do start to wonder, where is this going to translate to something bigger and better when it actually matters?
Yeah, another guy that a lot of people are talking about, and this isn't a guy that it feels like a tryout, or where does he fit in the rotation next year, because he'll fit with a lot of teams, but it's Ty Jerome. But he's a guy that they brought in, and he was supposed to be one of those big splashy pickups in the offseason when this core was still together, and then we know what happened. He was injured for most of the start of the season, now back, but the entire franchise looks way different than what it looked like when he signed. Is that a guy you think that they keep around, or is that a guy that they maybe try to move in the offseason to get something back and let him go and maybe be on a team that's more competitive right now?
Yeah, I think, again, it depends on what is the direction of the team. If they are going to be we're going to build around all young guys and we're going to play whoever it is they draft this year, and then it's going to be Cedric Coward and Walter Clayton Jr. and Cam Spencer and Jalen Wells, and Zach Edey, and that's going to be the team. Well, Ty Jerome probably doesn't have a lot of plays on a team like that. He's signed to a very tradable contract. They'll have no problem finding a deal for him. Like we talk about regularly, is you don't need to give him away.
Right.
But if you can find a deal that works for you, where it is, all right, this one kind of makes sense, let's move him along to another team where he can play a bigger, or not necessarily a bigger role, but a more meaningful role on a contender. That probably makes a lot of sense for him and the Grizzlies, because I think at this point Memphis looks pretty clearly like they're going to be kicking off a full rebuild here. It's not just going to be for the rest of the season. I think that's going to be the approach into the summertime. And guys like Ty Jerome, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, obviously John Morant, Kyle Anderson, Brandon Clark. You start to look around, it's like, these guys don't probably have a lot of place on a team that's rebuilding.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right about that. And all those questions, it's going to be a very busy offseason for the Memphis Grizzlies in more ways than one. Going out to the rest of the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously one of the big stories in the NBA just because of what they did last season and what they could do this year. But you look at all of these injuries that are starting to stack up for them. They lost last night against the Pistons, but you look at these injuries, Jalen Williams, SGA both out, Alex Caruso, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, those guys kind of with more day-to-day injuries, but those guys didn't play last night. And then you had Isaiah Joe that gets injured during that game and leaves the game with an injury. What do you make of all these injuries that are starting to stack up for the Thunder?
Yeah, I mean, in some respect, get them out of the way now before you're going into the playoffs. But I mean, it certainly made it an interesting place to be. The Spurs are now only 2 games back. They're only a game back in the loss column, and they already have the tiebreaker over the Thunder. So now it's not even a guarantee that Oklahoma City is going to be the number 1 seed. That is something that's now in question. They'll still be one of the top 2 seeds, because then you got to go down to the Rockets and Nuggets, who are 7.5 games back each. So that part's not in question. But they're in a tough spot right now. Like you said, it's not just the number of guys. It's that these are starters and key players that are out. And then a handful of other guys are, they picked up nagging injuries, and I think some of those guys are probably from having to do a little bit more, play more minutes, play, a little bit bigger of a role than what was expected. So that's something they're going to manage, because for them, there's no longer any kind of concern about let's try to win, 1 million games here. That's off the table. It's going to be, let's make sure we can, try to get the number 1 seed ideally. But the most important thing is let's be healthy when we get into the playoffs, because we know, we've got enough to go defend our title. So let's just make sure that's what the goal is.
I mentioned that loss last night against Detroit. Detroit obviously playing fantastic basketball right now. They've got a 5.5 game lead over Boston for that number 1 spot in the Eastern Conference. But obviously a lot of talk about Cade Cunningham, the season that he's putting together and where he sits in terms of MVP votes and the possibility to win that. But with that conversation comes the conversation about all the injuries to guys. We just mentioned SGA, who's out with an injury, and I don't know where he stands in terms of games played, but that's been a big topic of a lot of guys are missing a lot of games that could not meet the threshold for some of these postseason awards. Do you think we get to a point where they sit down and try to look at these and these rules in terms of games played and try to make some sort of change to them?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that people seem to be missing with this is a collectively bargained thing. So if I'm the Players Association, if it is, all right, we want to try to change this, all right, what am I getting in return for this? Because you don't just give things for no reason. And some people say, well, it's for the benefit of their players, but all these guys that we're talking about they're still getting max contracts anyway. And I don't know that they're that overly concerned about winning awards and being all NBA teams and the like. So I think, I do think there is going to be some conversation, but it may just be one of those things that's tabled until it's time for CBA talks again in another couple of years, because I think the NBA, this goes even into the tanking stuff and the lottery and draft reform, is you have to be really wary of unintended consequences, because what's going to happen here is, right, the intended consequence was guys would play more games. Yeah, I don't know that has necessarily happened. The unintended consequence is we're going to get weird All-NBA teams and weird MVP votes potentially out of this. Not that anybody will be undeserving, but I think if you ask most NBA fans, they'd say, yeah, SGA or Jokic has been the MVP this year. They may not even be eligible. So then that means, all right, now we're talking Cade Cunningham or Wemby probably next. And those guys are very good and probably should be on ballots, but I don't know if they should be winning the MVP award. So that becomes a little bit of a challenge there as well. So that's going to be something the league's going to have to think about. And then when you get into All-NBA teams, now all of a sudden you get a guy who slides onto an All-NBA team that maybe wouldn't have been there if another 4 or 5, 6 guys were healthy enough to make it. That guy's now eligible for a bigger contract maybe than he would have been. And that's where things can get a little sideways with that. So there's definitely work to be done.
Yeah, I definitely think there is. You mentioned San Antonio and kind of where they're sitting right now, and really close to taking over that number 1 seed over Oklahoma City. They've won 10 games in a row. Now you look at some of these opponents. It maybe is a little bit of a soft patch of the schedule, but in that wins over Orlando and Oklahoma City and at the Lakers and even against on the road against Detroit, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. What is clicking with this San Antonio Spurs team that has led to this massive win streak?
Big part of it is that they are healthy. They've got all their guys available in these games, and I think when they made their lineup change shortly before the All-Star break to move Harrison Barnes to the bench, and then Barnes, as the veteran that he is, was like, hey, I get it. I'll just continue to kind of do my thing. You didn't make a big stink out of it. That really gave them more shooting and spacing around Wembanyama in that starting group. Champagne's been terrific. Devin Vassell's very good. Fox, Castle, Harper, those guys are hard to handle. And then you get into the deeper bench guys with like Luke Cornett and now Barnes, and then Keldon Johnson, who's been fantastic all season. It's a good, deep team. They can play a lot of different ways. They defend every night. They can, if they need to score a bunch of points, they've got that ability too. So this is a really smartly built roster, and you're starting to see it all come together for them.
Absolutely. News came out yesterday. The Lakers are adding former Virginia head coach Tony Bennett as a draft advisor. What do you make of this news? Obviously, what was it? 6 months ago, where we had a lot of changes in the Lakers, especially in kind of that scouting and draft department. Adding a former, really well-established, well-respected college coach.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, we'll see, right? Only time will tell, and we'll find out how big his role will actually be. A lot of college coaches are fantastic coaches. They're very good with the college game, but they don't have any idea what translates to NBA success. So we'll find out, is that, where Tony Bennett is with that. And I think that's I have no issue with this. I think it's a good idea for the Lakers. They clearly are light in that department after letting most of that group go. I will say this, it's a little late in the game to be doing these kind of things. I mean, we're now into, it's basically March, and you're going to be, kind of figuring it out on the fly, and they do have a draft pick this year, so that's going to be something that they got to kind of sort through a little bit, and, you want to make the most of it, which they have not made the most of their last couple of first-round picks. So there's a lot of work to be done for the Lakers to try to get this all sorted out, and this is just another step. But it's really hard to know today if that's going to matter or not.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I was a little confused when I saw it yesterday. That news came out. I thought Tony Bennett was happy being retired, and then you see him joining the Lakers. So definitely some interesting news there. We're talking with Keith Smith from Spa Track and the Front Office Show. He joins us every Thursday to talk the NBA. Dylan Brooks has had a really nice season with the Suns this year, but he's injured right now. It was reported that 4 to 6 weeks in terms of the timeline for a return for him. I saw a story over, I believe it was CBS Sports, talking about Jalen Green and needing him to step up with Dylan Brooks out. And you look at what this season has been for Jalen Green. It's been really weird. It's been that hamstring injury that he's really dealt with most of the season, but now he's back, and you look at what he's doing in February, averaging about 15 points per game. He had the game winner in that double overtime game against Orlando. How do you see Jalen Green fitting with this Suns team, and what do you make of what he's doing as of late?
Yeah, fitting is weird. We still don't know because he really hasn't played with Devin Booker, who's also out. But, in addition to Dylan Brooks, and Jordan Goodwin is out as well, who's been a key reserve guard for them. So we really don't know how Jalen Green fits with that grouping there because he just hasn't been healthy. And now that he is playing, all those other guys aren't playing. So we're going to get a sense of that. But yeah, I would agree that he does. They need him to step up. They need him to give them, really good minutes here because if you look at what's kind of available right now, there's not a lot of offensive firepower on that team. It's kind of Jalen Green and then Grayson Allen and a little bit of Colin Gillespie here, and then a lot of it is have to be system buckets and the like for them to get sorted out. Now, we're hopeful Devin Booker will be back, maybe here at the end of the week, maybe the beginning part of next. Goodwin should, be a week or two, but they're going to have to piece it together and, put up enough. I think they're fine. They're not going to slip very far. I don't think in the standings, they're probably going to be a play-in tournament team and on the top part of that play-in tournament. So that's probably where they'll ultimately land. But you do need to be a little careful. You don't want to fall too far. And now all of a sudden you're in that 9-10 play-in game, and you're having to win to stay in and then win again to get in. And then if you get in, now it's, oh, great, we're playing the Thunder, maybe the Spurs, and, good luck with that. So, I think, they need Jalen Green to be big, and they want to get their guys back so that they can kind of keep pushing more towards that sixth line versus being down in that play-in tournament.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Last week when you joined us, I know we talked about the Shams Charania report of the league looking into some anti-tanking protocols. I don't think we ever talked about what Shams came back and quote tweeted about some of those possible things they could put in place. Any of those things that were reported that jumped out to you that you think could maybe help or that you liked in terms of adding to the NBA?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I disliked more of the things than the things I liked there. I don't love the idea of, let's, ban teams from multiple years of having picks in the top four. I think that's, kind of silly. Sometimes teams are just bad and they're rebuilding and they're trying to build back up. I think this idea where people are saying, no, they should then be signing free agents, like, why? To just be the 10th seed and get knocked out? Like, it does happen. That some teams are just bad and building up. I think removing pick protection, at least for the top 8, top 6 kind of stuff, I think would be helpful because that just removes a layer of, all right, we don't necessarily need to be, awful to try to make sure we keep a pick and those kind of things. And if the end result is, we're not going to do any pick protections at all, I don't really have any issue with that if that's the direction they want to go. I think that's okay. I know Adam Silver, the subsequent reporting when he talked to the GMs was sounded like Sean Marks was maybe confused that this might be coming right now. Oh, wow. And Adam Silver and group were very clear that it is not. This is coming, this would be in effect after this year's draft, going into next season. These new rules would be in place. But when they asked Adam Silver to weigh in a little bit more, he said, hey, what you can assume is your only incentive will be to win. Now, how you're going to pull that off, I'm very curious to see, because unless you're going to do some kind of, hey, every team gets the same odds or something like that, then I guess there's no reason to tank or, I really don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they come up with, though.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Last thing for you, Keith, the Chicago Bulls, they've lost 10 games in a row. Obviously, things taking a turn and now getting into that tanking game. Any chance at the end of the season, I hate saying this because I love Billy Donovan, any possibility that they could make a move at head coach at the end of the year? It feels like a very weird situation for Chicago, because it feels like the last 3 or 4 years they've just kind of been in that almost rebuilding late lottery type of team every single season. Any chance that they make any changes in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the Bulls is they have kind of said, we just want to be in the playing tournament every year.
Yeah.
And then this year they finally said, all right, we're going to take steps to be worse than that. But they did it too late. They're already now so far ahead of those other teams in the standings. They're never going to get down to the level of, where Washington and Brooklyn and Indiana and New Orleans and Utah and Sacramento are. So it's almost like, all right, so you kind of did it, but you did it so late. As far as Billy Donovan goes, we kind of know how this goes. Often it is, all right, we can't fire all the players, so we're going to move on from the coach. Then I also wonder with Billy Donovan, he didn't go there to be part of a rebuilding team.
Right.
If people remember when he went there, they had added a bunch of guys, and actually it looked like they were going to be pretty good, and they were playing pretty well. Then a bunch of injuries hit, and it all kind of fell apart on them, and they were never able to get those guys together again the way we thought that they would. So I really don't know what the answer is there, but yeah, I think we're going to probably, good chance we see maybe some changes and get a coach in there who's more aligned with, all right, we're rebuilding this thing. All right, let's go with a guy like that.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have the NBA back. I know last week when we talked to you, we were just getting back from the All-Star break. It's nice to have all of these games, some really good games tonight as well. But Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your weekend. We'll do it again next Thursday.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Keith. Keith Smith joining us every single Thursday to talk the NBA from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. Obviously, a lot going on right now around the NBA as we get closer and closer to teams trying to figure out how low they can go with the tanking and other teams trying to position themselves for the playoffs, as we're kind of on that downward slide for the end of the year. But we need to go ahead and get to a break, and when we return, a lot of college basketball news last night, some really interesting results, including what St. John's did against UConn. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss the results from the SEC. We'll do all that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With over 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Think switching to T-Mobile's a whole complicated thing? Nah, it's easy. You could do it almost anywhere in just 15 minutes.
Even poolside like Drewski, you can switch to T-Mobile and unlock savings that are built to last. With T-Mobile's Better Value Plan, you can save over $1,000 a year versus Verizon and AT&T. Save on streaming, satellite, and more benefits that they leave out.
I get all the VIP perks.
Start saving from day one, and for a limited time, get T-Mobile's Better Value Plan.
I know you love deals.
Plus, switch right now, and we'll even pay off your old phone up to $800. What do you think of all that, Drewski?
Stay chillin', just switch it. It's better over here.
Check the math at T-Mobile.com/better value. Savings versus comparable plans at AT&T and Verizon, plus the cost of optional benefits. Plan features and taxes and fees vary. With 3+ lines of Better Value Plan. 3+ new lines and 2 eligible ports, or 3+ lines and 5+ years on T-Mobile postpaid plan required. Qualifying credit required. Check out in 15 minutes or less per line. Get up to $800 per line via virtual prepaid card. Typically takes 15 days after rebate submission. Qualifying unlocked device credit service ported 90+ days with device and eligible carrier, and timely redemption required. No cash access and card expires in 6 months. Card issued by Sunrise Banks N.A. member FDIC.
Drivers wanted! Drivers wanted! If you're looking for a new ride, we Gossett at Gossett Volkswagen on the pike. How about sporty 2026 Jetta S, $277 a month? We Gossett. 2026 Taos S is only $327 a month. $327 a month for Taos S. How about Tiguan S at only $355 a month? We Gossett. $355 a month for Tiguan S. You want a new ride? We got you covered at Gossett Volkswagen on the pike. Remember, it's not a new ride if it's not from Gossett, so get to Gossett Volkswagen today. 1875 Covington Pike, or online, GossettVWMemphis.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month lease, Jetta SM 104-280, MSRP 26,426, Taos SMO 6162, MSRP 27,011, Jetta TM 5137, MSRP 25,820, Taos STM 108-191, MSRP 29,101, Tiguan TMO 14510, MSRP 32,585, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax on the license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer ends June 28-26, dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. T-Dot is out here working with a couple of accidents. Right now, what we're seeing is that traffic trying to get a little bit heavy up through Midtown in a couple of spots, especially coming southbound on 240 at South Parkway. The further south you go now, we've had to put up with the radar again this afternoon south of Memphis, so be careful down through there, 55 down through DeSoto County. Hey, the low-cost drive-through vaccine clinic. It's back Saturday, March 21st at the Humane Society of Memphis, Shelby County. Check out the website for all the details, memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Landers Ford in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
And she says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you, and we've got to talk some college hoops. It was a fun night of basketball last night. Some really interesting results out there. I want to start in the SEC, where we had a pretty loaded slate of games in terms of the midweek. You had Florida. They continue to roll 84-71 over Texas. Alabama gets the home win 100-75 over Mississippi State. Arkansas, a 99-84 win over Texas A&M. Vanderbilt, 88-80 over Georgia. And LSU on the road, a game that you heard right here on Sports 56 in Oxford against Ole Miss, 106-99 in double overtime. I guess we'll start with that one because that is not good for Ole Miss. This felt like a game where, hey, you're really struggling in conference play, but you're playing another team that is just as bad, if not worse, in conference, and you're at home, so you should have the advantage here, but it didn't matter. This Ole Miss team just continues to really struggle. And now, I mean, that is a ton of losses in a row. They have not won a game since Saturday, January 17th, when they beat Mississippi State by 1 point. Now, that was part of a 3-game winning streak, but since then, it has just been loss after loss after loss. This team defensively is not a Chris Beard team. It really is the defensive side of the ball. I mean, you go out there, I understand it's double overtime. You score 99 points. You shoot 46% from the field. Now, three-point shooting was really bad for them. But defensively, you give up 106 points. you allow the opposing team to shoot 50% from the field and 52% from three. LSU made 11 3-pointers. I would have to go look. I don't think this LSU team's a very good shooting team. I would be curious to see where that 11 made threes.
Pretty sure they're worse than the SEC, aren't they?
I would assume. I mean,
now I think they're neck and neck with Ole Miss as the two worst in the SEC right now.
I would say so, but let's see if I can find a 3-point shooting percentage. They are one of the worst that's Florida. Wow, Florida. That makes sense that they're that Florida is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country because their big men are so big. But LSU still one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country. 209. So certainly bottom half. I shouldn't say one of the worst, but they're bottom half. 33.5%. 3-point percentage this year. They've really struggled, but they were able to knock them down last night against Ole Miss. A nice win that gets LSU to 3 wins in conference play. It drops Ole Miss to 3-12 on the season. You did get some nice performances. AJ Storr was pretty good off the bench with 19 points. Cameron Dean, who was the big time player against Memphis, he had 26. Malik Dia with 20, but really outside of that, really struggled. And a lot of the bench outside of AJ Storr just gave Ole Miss absolutely nothing out there last night. Another really interesting result, Vanderbilt getting the home win over Georgia. Georgia's one of those teams we've talked about. They are right there, squarely on the bubble. I haven't really looked to see if anybody updated their bracketology from last night to what that meant for them, how that would change things, but you felt like if you were Georgia, going on the road and losing to Vanderbilt, that's by no means the worst loss. Mm-hmm. But if you were Georgia and you could have gone out there and gotten a road win against a top 25 team in Vanderbilt, that would have been huge for your bubble chances. But they not able to get it done. They have a nice second half, but it was just too little, too late. And Vanderbilt continues to have a very successful season. Still in the top 25, 22-6 on the season, and they're trying to close conference strong because there was that gap in there, and we've talked a lot about it. The injuries that they've had, starting to get those guys back, maybe able to have a strong late push, maybe improve where they're at in the bracket come Selection Sunday.
Yeah, and actually looking at the standings right now, Georgia now drops to 7-8 in the SEC. Yeah. So right in the middle of that pack. And after looking at it, after Ole Miss has lost, they actually have them listed as last in the SEC right now. LSU and South Carolina both they're all three tied at 3-12 in this conference, but Ole Miss sitting at 11-17 with a 10-game losing streak right now. Yeah, not a very good look for the Rebel basketball team at all.
No, it is not good, and I don't know. Let's see, I don't even know what the rest of their schedule looks like for Ole Miss. Let's see. So you lost last night against LSU.
That's that.
At Auburn, which Auburn is just, searching anywhere and everywhere for wins.
They're fighting.
They are, and
they're at least in the mix a little bit.
That's really tough on the road. Vanderbilt at home, that was the game that originally was supposed to be at Vanderbilt, but they swapped those games during the winter storms. And then you end the season with a very winnable game at home against South Carolina. So just looking at KenPom right now, KenPom projects 2 losses on against Auburn and Vanderbilt, and then they give Ole Miss a 63% chance to beat South Carolina in the final game of the season. So yeah, that is not a great way to end the season.
Yeah, not an ideal way
Rebels.
To finish out there.
No, absolutely not. The other game that was interesting last night in the SEC, Florida 84-71 victory over Texas. Just the way that this Florida team has been winning games. It's been at home, it's been on the road. They've been able to win close games. They've been able to blow teams out. It's just been really, really impressive. And you go back, haven't lost back-to-back games since non-conference play against December 2nd and December 9th. And can we just go back and laugh at and I think you could still say, well, if they meet one of those teams in the NCAA tournament, but the overreaction about this Florida team in non-conference play early in the season when they lost those 4 games in non-conference. Season opener on a neutral site against Arizona, where they lost 93 to 87.
Currently number 2 in the country.
Correct. That's a 6-point loss to a team that, like you said, has been at the very top of the sport all season long.
Yeah.
Now TCU, that's one where like, hey, sure, I'll give it to you. It's not a great loss,
not the greatest of losses,
but still a top 50 team in KenPom. At least when that game was played. No, they're 50 right now in KenPom. So a top 50 team in KenPom on a neutral site, 4-point loss. Duke, one of the best teams in the country, just beat
number 1
Michigan. Yes, the number 1 team in the country. A 2-point loss on the road, and then UConn, another incredible team. We just talked to Kevin Sweeney.
Yeah.
Kevin Sweeney has UConn as the number 1 seed in this year's NCAA tournament, and that was a 4-point loss. So you look at, you didn't lose any of those games by more than 6 points, and all of them except for TCU. That's the outlier. Mm-hmm. But the rest of those other threes are 3 teams that have a very realistic shot to all 3 be 1 seeds come Selection Sunday. So, I understood it. I guess I understood at the time of, oh man, this Florida team that just won the national championship brought a lot back in their front court. They've already lost 4 games in non-conference, but it always felt like Arizona's going to be a really good team all year.
Oh, yeah.
Duke's going to be a really good team all year, and UConn's going to be an awesome team all year. And again, then you throw in the TCU neutral site, and they've really turned it on since the start of conference play. Only 2 conference losses against Missouri and Auburn, and they've been rolling 8 straight wins, and they'll end the season. A big one on Saturday. This one is going to be a ton of fun. At home against Arkansas should be a blast, and then at home against Mississippi State next Tuesday, and then they'll wrap up the season Saturday against Kentucky. I mentioned UConn. They played St. John's yesterday, and we talked about that game and how big of a game it was because in early February 6th, UConn lost to St. John's on the road at Madison Square Garden, 81-72. It was a really fun game. That was a Friday night game, one of those Fox Friday night primetime games that have been really, really fun to watch this season. But last night we got the return game to UConn, and 72-40, the final score for the Huskies over St. John's. St. John's just absolutely zero offense out there. Couldn't get anything done. This comes from Jeff Borzello. Final, UConn 72, St. John's 40. That was a bludgeoning, an all-time dominant showing, largest margin for the Huskies in series history. St. John's went 2 for 28 in the second half, missed the last 24 shots. Their final field goal, the final field goal that they made in the game, came with 17 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the game. That makes any of these long scoring droughts that we talk about seemingly every game with the Tigers, makes that look like child's play.
I was about to say, it makes the 0-19 look not as terrible when you go 0-24.
Your last field goal came basically 2.5 minutes into the start of the second half. And on top of that, your head coach is Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
I would be terrified for my life if I was one of those players.
Yeah, and I remember seeing the court layout, and it's not like these were ridiculous shots. They were all very, very much within range of where you could easily just drain a quick little 2-pointer and a lot more red than green on that court.
Well, and again, like I don't want to bash the Tigers for their scoring droughts or anything.
Well, they're there.
Right now, Memphis, in adjusted offensive efficiency, Memphis ranks 226 in the country. So this is not a great Memphis offensive team, and we know that. We talk about it all the time. This team really can't shoot. They're not a great team offensively. St. John's is 54th after that game last night. So I don't know what they were going into yesterday, but this is a top 60 team, a top 55 team in offense. And they go, now look, scoring, shooting, they're not great. They're 208th in effective field goal percentage. They're 188th in three-point percentage. They're 225 in two-point percentage. Now again, all of these numbers are after that performance last night, and those are the type of numbers that will tank these stats when you go that long without a shot and that many straight missed field goals. Jeff Borzello quote tweeted that and said, via ESPN research, St. John's 24 straight misses to end the game is the longest game-ending streak by a Division I team in at least the last 8 seasons. It's also the Red Storm's largest loss to a ranked team since 1960.
Wow.
That is insane.
That is insane.
I mean, that is just crazy. So yes, I maybe that makes you feel a little better if you're a Memphis fan to see.
I mean, it's gotta.
There's
right?
other teams.
It's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, I mean, look, hey, the St. John's team that entered that game 22-5 on the year, even they can go on these long scoring droughts, even longer.
You never know.
Oh man, just brutal.
That is pretty bad.
Thursday nights around college basketball, they're kind of weird. It's more of a mid-major night, so not a ton on the slate tonight. You do have a fun game on Peacock at 7 o'clock. Michigan State, ranked 13th in the country, on the road at Purdue, who ranks 8th in the country. Feels like a very big game for both of these teams. Could really use one of those big-time, top 25 wins. So we'll see how that game plays out again tonight, 7 o'clock on Peacock. But let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, it will be time for Big Number of the Day.
Did you miss your favorite Sports 56 show?
No!
Check out the podcast, broken down hourly at sports56whbq.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to like and subscribe. Never miss any Sports 56 show again with our podcasts available daily from Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Your home is your best investment, so why not make it the best it can be with help from Gates Lumber? Start with your front door, serving 2 purposes, curb appeal and security. Gates has solid construction doors built for security, durability, and beauty. See and compare wood, steel, and fiberglass options side by side at Gates Showroom. It's easier to choose when you can see and touch real doors with real assistance from knowledgeable staff helping you choose the right door for your home and budget. So don't just replace your door, upgrade your protection, and Gates Lumber is the right choice. Family owned and operated, serving you for over 100 years with free estimates, free delivery, competitive prices, and quality products. Call 901-942-3201, go to gateslumber.com, or come by their showroom, 1253 South Bellevue Boulevard. Gates Lumber, celebrating over 100 years with a passion for craftsmanship since 1920.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders Roofing and Restoration. Let me ask you something. Are you seeing unsightly water spots on your ceiling, in your home, your office, or even worse, mold? Have you noticed shingles missing, pieces in your yard, or signs your roof just doesn't look right anymore? Here's the facts. What you see inside usually means there's already a bigger problem above you. At Metro Builders, we don't just guess, we inspect. Our team performs a full roof inspection right on site. We take detailed photos, document everything, and show you exactly what's happening with your roof. Whether it's a simple repair or a full replacement, don't let anyone tell you it needs to be replaced when all it needs is a repair. We offer free inspections, on-the-spot estimates, clear explanations, and yes, financing is available. Before a small issue turns into major damage, make the phone call that protects your home. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. Or check us out online at metrobuildersmemphis.com. Metro Builders Roofing and Restoration. We don't just build, we build world class.
This traffic report brought to you by City Center Liquor just off Highway 70 in Lakeland. Local, friendly, and always fully stocked. For a 5% discount, tell them Sports 56 sent you.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Landers Ford in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Merry-go-round in dreams, right someday.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brown. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
My big number today is the number 7, and this is a very interesting big number, and I need to give credit to where I saw this and kind of what had me on this number. Friend of the show, Kara Ritchie, who is over in Jonesboro and covers the Arkansas State, all their teams. She does a great job covering Arkansas State, works over at the Ticket over there in Jonesboro. But she posted last night that college basketball, it's every conference is different. There are conferences like, all the big conferences, the Americans like it, where they have the rest of this week and then all next week, and they'll have their last games next Saturday or Sunday, and then the conference tournament will start the week after. Mm-hmm. There are other conferences, kind of the smaller conferences, that go ahead and get their conference tournament started
like the Big
next
West.
Week, like the Big West. So that's
tied for first with UC Irvine.
How about that?
Go Bows.
I think the Big West, though. I think theirs is the same week as like the American.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
I was just thinking of a mid-major.
Because they are a conference that I'm going to point out. So the Sun Belt is one of these conferences that they're starting their conference tournament next week. Mm-hmm. So that means this weekend, Saturday, I believe, is when they play their games. That will be the final game of the regular season to figure out what the conference standings look like going into the conference tournament. Now, a lot of times you'll get to kind of this point of the season, and there will be a lot going on at the top, and you've got some ties, and you've got a team that's only a couple games behind. You just mentioned the Big West. Big West is one of these where they've got another 2 weeks to play, and right now there are 7 teams that are 2 games or less out of first place.
Yeah.
So a lot could happen there, and that's going to be a lot of chaos
it's a
down
crazy
the stretch.
Conference.
But you still have 2 weeks to work everything out. In the Sun Belt, every team has 1 game remaining. And right now, 7 teams are a game or less out of first place.
Wow.
You've got Marshall, App State, Marshall, App State, Troy, and South Alabama. So 4 teams that are all tied with an 11-6 record at the top of the conference. Then you've got Arkansas State, Coastal Carolina, and Texas State, who are all 10-7, 1 game back in the conference conference standings. Now I really want to go. I have not had enough time. I want to go and look at all of their schedules to see, are any of these teams playing each other to knock each other out? What kind of chaos could we possibly have going into the conference tournament for the Sun Belt.
Well, you know what? I'll give you that opportunity to look that up right now as I give you my big numbers of the day. These are going to be combine related as we have some big numbers coming out of this combine already. We'll start with Oklahoma defensive tackle Grayson Halton, who posted a 36.5 foot vertical jump, which is the third highest of any defensive tackle at the combine in the last 20 years.
Wow.
Now, something like that definitely has to capture the attention of some of these teams who are looking at that defensive line, because if you've got a guy who's got a big vertical, you're talking about getting right in the quarterback's throwing line, disrupting passes, getting that hand up there. That is going to be a huge bolster for him going into this combine. But one of the biggest names that has definitely been circling as a guy who a lot of teams are probably going to be looking at as the edge rusher is one of the most important things that is needed for many teams in the league right now. Is Texas Tech edge David Bailey ran an unofficial 4.51 in the 40-yard dash.
Wow.
An edge rusher running at that kind of speed, that is 0.2 seconds slower than most running backs, most wide receivers. I mean, you're talking, this guy has got some serious and insane speed, so that definitely is going to help him out. I think it is David Bailey, Reuben Bain, and Arvell Reese are probably the top three contenders of likely the top three guys who are likely going to be defensive people that are going to go early in round one for these teams. Also, we know that Caleb Downs, safety coming out of Ohio State, is obviously going to be somebody else who's definitely going to be targeted heavily as going to be somebody who's really going to help out a team. But still, if these numbers keep kind of approaching the way in which they're shaping up right now, we could be in for a really interesting draft process.
Yeah. I've heard Reuben Bain short arms.
I've heard that a lot. Little T-Rex arms, and how that is probably going to hurt him just a little bit. But to kind of balance that out, they've seen his tape and how his pad level is good. The way in which he attacks things is good as well. But this is not college football anymore. You're talking about the best of the best in the NFL, where all offensive linemen are better than all the college teams. So it's going to be a lot different.
So I just searched. All I did was search Reuben Bain Jr. These are the headlines for stories that have been written over the last day about Reuben Bain. First off, he measured under 31 inches arm length at the combine. Not great.
No, that's not good at all.
CBS Sports: can star Miami edge rusher Reuben Bain Jr. overcome physical limitations? That's a great question.
That's a way to describe it.
It's a great question. USA Today: Reuben Bain Jr.'s short arms may be enough for him to fall in NFL draft. Ooh, short arms could be.
Short arms really
could do that.
Hindering this guy.
ESPN: Reuben Bain Jr. says NFL teams focused on play, not arm length. I sure hope not.
Arm length attributes to that a little bit, especially if you're an edge rusher.
And then my favorite headline of all: the Tennessean, our neighbors up in Nashville. Do Reuben Bain's short arms matter? We asked a T-Rex dinosaur expert. Now that is the type.
That's grade A journalism.
That's what I need. You see somebody with short arms?
You go to the experts.
What is the notable animal that has short arms? It's T-Rex.
Stegosaurus.
Except I have seen some theories that say those are supposed to be wings and not, like, we view them the wrong way. We view them inverted. When we
How on earth are T-Rex arms supposed to be?
I don't know, but I have seen that instead of going out like this, nobody can see what I'm doing, but just imagine me doing T-Rex arms. They're actually supposed to go the opposite way, and they would be like wings.
I don't follow this at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I didn't say.
I mean, I've seen obviously when you eat a chicken and you see the shortness, but they're also covered in feathers.
Right. Yeah.
T-Rexes don't have feathers.
Yeah, it was not something that I subscribed to, so I don't have much of a knowledge, but I have seen that maybe we're looking at the T-Rex arms backwards.
I don't.
Would a T-Rex look more or less dangerous if he had little wings instead of little arms?
I don't know. They look pretty menacing with the ginormous mouth.
They do. It's a good question. I don't know the answer to it, but something to think about. Something that you don't have to worry about, thankfully, because we don't have to. We don't have dinosaurs. I looked it up. So in the Sun Belt, we talked about there's 7 teams.
Yeah.
5 of them play a team that is out of the consideration of the top spot.
Okay.
The only team that plays another one of those opposing teams vying for the top spot is Appalachian State, who currently is tied in the lead with 11-6 record. They play Texas State, who is currently 1 game out of that top spot. So if the underdogs come through, we could have a lot of chaos. But unfortunately, it looks like a lot of those teams are going to be favored that are at the top of the conference right now, which couldn't mean even more chaos because then you go deep into the tiebreaker. I don't know what the tiebreakers for this conference looks like and kind of what all that would
Seems
mean.
like a lot of digging.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not going to be doing it. I'll let somebody else do it, and I'll just see
somebody
how
else
it all,
who's a Sun Belt expert.
That's right, how it all plays out. But we need to wrap up the second hour, get to another break, and when we return, we're talking Tigers. They play later tonight, 8 o'clock down at FedEx Forum against Wichita State. Greg Gaston, he'll join us. He joins us every week to talk all things Tigers. We'll talk to him next on Sports Time.
You have opinions?
I think it's over.
Of course you do.
I don't think it's that simple.
Everyone does.
I got all the answers.
Hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, Tito's is known for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Incorporated, Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
Napa Cafe celebrates 28 years in 2026.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. We can't wait to serve you.
Come join in and celebrate 28 years of Napa Cafe in 2026.
Memphis is a love song to soul and style. With the full suite of sought-after designers, brilliant natural diamonds, an elegant bar, luxury VIP lounge, and more, a trip to our store is an experience like no other. Just like the city we love. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience Sissy's for yourself. Memphis is our home, and we're your jeweler.
Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Drivers wanted, drivers wanted. If you're looking for a new ride, we Gossett at Gossett Volkswagen on the pike. How about sporty 2026 Jetta S, $277 a month? We Gossett. 2026 Taos S is only $327 a month. $327 a month for Taos S. How about Tiguan S at only $355 a month? We Gossett. $355 a month for Tiguan S. You want a new ride? We got you covered at Gossett Volkswagen on the pike. Remember, it's not a new ride if it's not from Gossett, so get to Gossett Volkswagen today, 1875 Covington Pike, or online, GossettVWMemphis.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
36 month lease. Jetta SM 104-280, MSRP 26,426. Taos SM 06162, MSRP 27,011. Jetta TM 05137, MSRP 25,820. Taos STM 1018191, MSRP 29,101. Tiguan TMO 14510, MSRP 32,585. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer ends 2/28/26. Dealer stock only.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgos. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef, and she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or a steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meats. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper was more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with a perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at the Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948, the Rendezvous.
This traffic report is brought to you by Millington Weight Loss. For more information, call 901-436-0272.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Cranking it pretty good. Certain sections of the Midtown area. It looks like it's gotten heavier southbound, especially on 240 at South Parkway. It's building as you push on down into DeSoto County. Right now, south of Memphis, a little bit of radar down through there earlier, so be careful as it gets heavier now on Sam Cooper, especially going outbound on Sam Cooper right down to normal spots. Hey, bridal season just around the corner. Shop local and you'll always save money at Reimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Back in Sports Time, Bryant and Landon with you. No Brett, he'll be back with us on Monday, but we need to talk some Tigers, and we do it at this time each and every Thursday afternoon with Greg Gaston.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us now to talk some Tigers. You can listen to him every single weekday morning from 7 to 10 with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli, but he's with us every Thursday to talk Tigers. Greg, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get into. I know we're going to talk a lot about tonight's game against Wichita State, but let's go back to that weekend game against UAB. We know that 3 straight losses on the road. You hated to see them, but you could always kind of say, well, road losses against some competitive teams, especially that South Florida loss the week before. But to see Memphis lose like that and really to get down like that in the first half before kind of putting together a little bit of a comeback in the second half, to see that happen at home, I think shocked a lot of people. What did you make of that performance by the Tigers on Sunday?
Yeah, you say shock, I'll say stunned.
Yeah.
You can throw in whatever you want because UAB has not beaten Memphis in a long time until that Sunday in Memphis. And Memphis had beaten them already, as you guys know, by 10 in Birmingham. And Penny has had Andy Kennedy's number. Everything added up for Memphis, even riding a losing streak, to snap out of it, play well, and get a dub at home. And to see UAB, like you say, jump out to a lead, then they're able to thwart off the great rally, which came up short. Memphis pulled it within 3. At that point, you thought, okay, Memphis will take control of this game. It never happened. Yeah, all I could say is absolutely stunning. Never thought that would be the case, even with the losing streak going into that game.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think if you could take a bright spot out of that game, which is certainly hard to do, but we've seen Doug McDaniel really struggle with his shooting as of late. But in that second half, 15 points early in that half, he was really a massive part of getting that lead all the way down to 3. Now they weren't able to do anything with it after that point. But do you think that is maybe something? I know Penny Hardaway either after the game or maybe Monday night on his radio show, at some point there was a quote from Penny where he was saying that they made the decision not to start him in the second half to maybe motivate him a little bit, and then he goes out there and puts together a really nice half. Do you think maybe we're seeing him come out of that slump, or do you think, hey, we got to see more than one half before we can believe that he's really out of the slump?
The way he played in the second half after not starting, it seemed like it did light a fire under him. And he's been pretty consistent all year long, but Doug McDaniel has to be really good for the Tigers to have a chance to win the game. If Doug McDaniel is not good, and we've seen that only a few times this year, the Tigers don't have a chance. He's your leader. He's the guy that has to be the facilitator, but also he has to score the basketball. And it was nice to see him bounce back in the second half. But again, it's hard to take any kind of moral victories out of losses to teams that you're expected to beat. And again, no matter whether he played well in the second half or somebody else played well in the first half, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that this team is on a spiral in the wrong direction.
Yeah, Greg, does it? I'm glad you mentioned that, because is there any solace to be found in just how strange this UAB team really is? The fact that they can't seem to win any conference games at home, but on the road, they're nearly perfect.
Oh, they're a wagon on the road.
I mean, they're basically an indestructible force anytime they go on the road in conference play. I know it doesn't soften the blow at all, but could knowing that could have been any kind of expectation going into that game against Memphis?
No, I'm not taking anything out of that. But your point about them being strange this year, it's an anomaly. I mean, to be able to play as well as they do on the road and struggle at home, yeah, it's one of those weird deals that you have every once in a while in sports. You can't explain it because it's unexplainable. You can't put your finger on why that happened. I'm sure Andy Kennedy can't put his finger on why it happened. But I'm taking nothing out of this. Again, Memphis has had the long streak against UAB at home. They beat them down there by 10. I was at a loss for words to see that performance.
Yeah, and then to make matters worse from the result, then you get the reports. I know I saw it from Jason Munns on Twitter, and then I heard it Parthu Pajai when he was with y'all earlier this week. I heard him talk about it with y'all. This strange situation with Aaron Bradshaw, where Penny Hardaway says before the game that he's going to be a game time decision. He gets out there, he goes through warm ups, and then I believe based on what Jason Munns reported, kind of wasn't in that final warm-up, final layup line right before the game, and then was in the starting lineup, but then was taken out 45 seconds after. There's 48 seconds after that. And according to Jason Munns, according to Parth, it sounds to what they've heard that it was a complete mix-up, and he wasn't even supposed to play, and that somehow he got written down in the starting lineup and then put out there to kind of avoid any more confusion. He just went out there and tried to go as long as he could before ultimately getting out there. First off, how does that happen, and what do you make of that happening in Sunday's game?
Yeah, it's the ultimate miscommunication. I was doing a baseball game, Memphis, Ohio State, so I wasn't able to be there and heard it after the fact. But I mean, that's a big mishap when you have a player that is a game time decision, like you said, probably not going to start. But he's written. Look, you have an official scorebook, and his name is written in that official scorebook. So whoever did that, and I don't know who has that responsibility, obviously thought he was starting. He starts the game. As you said, in less than a minute, he's out. Now, he didn't, according to Dave Woloshin, he didn't ask to come out. Penny Hardaway pulled him out of the game. So I don't know how serious the injury is with the elbow, whether or not he'll be able to go in this game tonight. They need Bradshaw. We talked about it, I think, last week, his improvement from the start of the year to where he is now. Against Wichita State, the first go-around, the 15-point loss at Wichita, he had 10 points and 9 rebounds. So he's certainly a guy who can hold off or at least battle the Wichita State bigs, who are pretty good. They're not fantastic scorers, but they're very formidable and physical. And if you don't have him, then you're losing a major cog to your team. But how that happened, Brian, your guess is as good as mine. That's just miscommunication.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. But you mentioned, I was just looking to see. I haven't seen a status report from the American, their players availability report for tonight's game. So I don't know what he's going to be listed. I would assume he'll probably be listed as questionable again, like he was on Sunday, and will be a similar kind of game time decision for him. But you're right. I mean, you went out there against, in Wichita against the Shockers, and you got out rebounded. They have a 7-2 center that comes off the bench, or at least came off the bench for them in that first game back in January, and had a double-double with 10 points and 10 rebounds. Even though nobody's going to go out there and say Aaron Bradshaw is the best rebounder in the conference, it'd still be nice to have your 7-footer out there. So I definitely they would love to have him out there playing tonight. But based on what you just said, that 15-point loss against Wichita in the first meeting, what has to change in tonight's matchup at home for the Tigers to get a win?
Two things. One, come out with energy. Number two, make some shots. They were 3 of 19 from 3 in that loss to Wichita State. And you guys know, as well as anybody, that this team continues to struggle shooting the ball. It has been an issue all year long, and we can look at the players on this roster. Maybe they're not living up to expectations, or maybe they were overvalued, their expectations of being good shooters. I mean, some of these guys are scorers. Sincere Parker's a scorer. Doug McDaniel can be a scorer. But to put them up there as really good shooters, I would not. I don't think there's anybody on this team that is a really good shooter. I think Ashton Hardaway was expected to be a pretty solid three-point shooter. He's okay. He's an average three-point shooter. But they lack that. So show the energy, come out, show that you're still going to battle the rest of the season no matter what happens, and make some darn shots, for goodness sake.
Yeah, no, it's the biggest thing is knock down some shots we've seen. And obviously the story today around college basketball with what St. John's did, topping what Memphis did last week. But this team finds ways seemingly every single game to go on these long scoring droughts, whether it's just straight up points or field goals. They go through long stretches of time where they really struggle offensively. Now everyone kind of starting to turn their attention to where the Tigers could be in the conference tournament. Obviously, I've heard people talk about the possibility of Memphis missing the tournament. I really don't think they will miss the tournament. I mean, it would have to be Memphis loses every game the rest of the regular season, and then Rice, goes out there and wins all of their remaining games for something like that to play out. But where do you realistically see Memphis falling? Because after all the talk of, all of these buys, and if you're a top 4, you don't play until Friday, top 2, Saturday. Right now, if the tournament started, Memphis would be playing on the first day, the second game as the 7 seed. Where do you think they'll fall in Birmingham?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that would be the scenario. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think people, even though they are certainly concerned with what's going on with Memphis, I don't think there's a legitimate concern that they're not going to be playing in Birmingham. They have these 4 games remaining. Wichita State tonight. You got them at home, although Wichita State will be tough. You go to East Carolina. East Carolina right now would be on the outside looking in. I think it's going to be very tough for them to be able to qualify for Birmingham. And then after that, you got South Florida in that return game. They beat you good down in Tampa, and then you end at Tulane in New Orleans, and they beat you here on that last-second drive by Brumball. So these are teams in the next 4 games. Few of them you've already played and lost to. So this is going to be a challenge. I think you certainly have to win this game at home tonight against Wichita State, and you have to win that game on the road at East Carolina. I think South Florida will be tough. Tulane has been playing really good basketball. Tulane, I believe, has won. Maybe they lost it. Yeah, they lost their last game, but I think they had a 3-game winning streak, but they're certainly a capable team. I think Memphis, realistically, I think 2-2 in their final 4. I think certainly if they figure it out, can make some shots, they could go 3-1. But again, I'm asking for a lot here for a team that is struggling so much. If they go 2-2, that puts them at 9-9. And I'm looking at the standings right now. You have a team with 10 wins in Wichita State. If they get the win tonight, they'd go to 11. UAB 9, Charlotte 9. All you could ask for is that they come in that 3rd or 4th spot, but I don't see that happening, guys. I don't think that will happen. And I think you're looking more like a 5 or 6 seed at best unless we see something, again, crazy the next 4 games. And all of a sudden they come out of their shell and they figure it out.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be somewhere in that range. I've seen over the last couple of days, and I'm sure you've seen it, but a lot of national outlets starting to put out their hot seat trackers and names to watch and different things like that. I know our friend that joins us on Wednesdays, Kevin Sweeney, he had one a couple of days ago, did not put Penny Hardaway on the hot seat, but put him in a category, I think it was something, names to keep an eye on, or something like that. But then yesterday ESPN had their own story, placed Penny Hardaway on that list as well, and it seems like the consensus both locally and nationally is major changes to roster, to staff, and some sort of general manager type position coming in. What do you make of that? Obviously the general manager talk has been circulating for the last week and a half. What do you make of that? And I know now the concern is, when do you get that type of position in? Because you would like to get that guy on as early as possible to kind of go out and start producing in this offseason.
Yeah, I think the reports that you're hearing out there, which is certainly just speculation at this point, is probably something I think that they're looking at. He's not on the hot seat. He's not getting fired. And Penny said Monday night at his radio show, his weekly show, that he's the guy for the job. So he's not, if people think he's walking away, one thing Penny Hardaway's not doing is quitting. He's not quitting. He'll take whatever it is that he needs to do to better this team, and he is never going to say that's it. I mean, I throw out the white flag and I surrender. So he's not doing that. I don't see the administration firing Penny Hardaway. They were they were the champions last year in the conference. Obviously, they lost in their only game in the NCAA tournament. Now, people should be upset, and there's a lot of people crying for a change, and I understand that. I understand them saying that. He's been given a lot of leadway here. This is year number 8, and if they don't get to the tournament and win a game, you're talking about 1 win in 8 years. But to think that they're going to make this change, I just don't see it happening. Now, you have to appease the fan base. Some fans will not be appeased by not making a change at the top, but you have to do something. You can't run it back. We're just going to run this thing back. We know, first of all, that's not going to happen because the roster will change. But I think this year's roster, it's going to be a lot different than last year. Last year, he had no returning players for this year's team. Next year, you will have returning players. There will be 4 or 5 guys that will return on this roster. I'm pretty positive about that. We know that he's putting an emphasis more on the high school kids. We know that Solo Jackson's coming in. We think Fred Smith will come in. We'll see what else happens on that front. So I think you're going to get, sure, every year, everybody's roster changes, but it's not going to be as abrupt as this past year because it can't be. That would be, again, changing every player. That's right. So you're going to get some changes, certainly, with the roster. But you hit it on the head when you talked about the general manager and roster construction. First of all, the assistant coaches, look, they can keep changing assistant coaches. He's gone through 1 million of those. He still takes command of everything that goes on. So you can put any guy you want in there. Now, Nolan Smith, I thought, was a big loss. I really do think Nolan Smith was a big loss. But Roy Rogers has done a nice job in helping Aaron Bradshaw improve. And Aaron Bradshaw is a guy who I think has a great chance to be back here next year, assuming Penny wants him. There's been some incidents behind closed doors as far as some things that he was fined for and all that. But if he's in good standing with Penny and he wants to return, I think there's a good chance to get the big guy back, and he's shown some improvement under Rogers. But they'll probably make some moves there with the coaching staff. But the thing is, for me, and the big thing is the general manager. And Brian, as you alluded to, you got to get somebody in as soon as possible. The question is, will Penny, who again doesn't like to relinquish any type of control, listen to somebody talking about personnel? I don't know if that'll happen. People have their doubts, but I think if they're on the same page, Penny, and if they do bring in that general manager type player, that takes a lot of the burden off Penny's shoulder. Penny will still make the final decisions, don't get me wrong, but this person, that will be their job, to evaluate players in the portal, evaluate players that could be in the portal, evaluate international players, evaluate high school and junior college players, and then they come together as a team and they figure out what makes sense for the roster. I think that's the way to go, because I don't think they're making a change at the top.
No, I don't think so either. Greg Gaston joining us. He joins us every Thursday. He's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis. They have serious vans for serious work at 4430 American Way. They're the Mid-South source for cargo, passenger, crew vans, and custom chassis. Need one or a full fleet, new or used? Well, they've got it with fleet solutions and custom upfits. Certified techs keep you moving with fast maintenance, repairs, and a large parts inventory. Mercedes-Benz Van Center is your Sprinter van headquarters. Give them a call, 901-237-9302 or sprintervans.com. Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis, part of the Tag Truck Center family, driven to keep you on the road. And as we're talking Tiger basketball, Jason Munge just tweeted out Aaron Bradshaw, Ashton Hardaway, and Zach Davis are listed as questionable for Memphis tonight. At least one of them won't play. So a little bit of a tease there from Jason Munz. Bradshaw, Hardaway, Davis, all three listed as questionable. And according to Jason Munz, at least one of those guys will not play for the Tigers tonight.
Interesting, because that makes it sound like he obviously knows who that player is. So it is a tease. But that's very strange, because they're all questionable, and usually you don't get any information other than that injury report until Wolo sits down and talks with Coach Hardaway before the start of the game. So Jason must have a little inside information on who that player is.
Yeah, something going on. So that will now we'll all be on the edge of our seats to see who isn't playing any of those guys suit up. Go ahead, Landon.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Greg, we know that we got the groundbreaking news that all of the charges were dismissed for Sincere Parker. How big is this for him? Because I know anytime that a player is going through something like that off the court, it does take a mental toll, and even through the midst of that, Sincere Parker has still been playing great for this Tigers team. But could we possibly see an elevation of his game, knowing that all of that stuff is officially behind him?
Well, look, it can only be a good thing, right, for the individual that has that weight now off their shoulder, so you can play with a little bit more ease. You don't have that in the back of your mind. But you made the point there, Landon, that he has played well even with all the distractions. So I don't know if you're going to get elevated Sincere. I think Sincere has been a pretty consistent offensive weapon coming off the bench, and hopefully that will continue. It needs to continue, as we talked about earlier, with Memphis's lack of shooting and, in some regards, lack of scoring. He has been one that has been pretty consistent. So I'm happy for him. Like I said, it's a big burden that's off those shoulders. He could play more free, but I don't expect all of a sudden now he's going to be that much better. I think he's been pretty consistent all year long.
Greg, last thing for you before we let you go. The American released all of the conference dates for football this year, so now Memphis has their complete schedule for the 2026 season. We knew the non-conference at UNLV, home against Arkansas State, at Boise State, and home against UT Martin. Now with the news today, it will be on the road at Charlotte on October 3rd, home against UAB October 10th, at Tulane October 16th, home against East Carolina October 22nd, home against Army October 31st, then back-to-back road games against USF and Navy before they end the season on either Friday or Saturday, the 27th or the 28th of November against Temple. Any takeaways from the release earlier today?
It's brutal.
Yeah.
I really think it's a brutal schedule. Now, with that said, you got a new coach here in Memphis with Charles Huff, but you have a new coach at Tulane, you have a new coach at South Florida, you have a new coach at North Texas. But going back-to-back to play on the road against South Florida, play Navy on the road, you got Army on the schedule, so you're playing both service academies in the conference. You're playing at Boise and UNLV on the road in non-conference. I think this is a very, very tough schedule, but I'm not going to sit here on February 26th and guess at wins and losses because we don't know the team.
No.
We don't know. We know who he's brought in, but we don't know how good these guys are. We don't know how well they'll gel. I would think, like right off the top of my head, I go, wow, if these guys go 8-4, that is a great season with that schedule. But hey, they might come out like gangbusters and tear apart UNLV in Vegas in week 0, and then our expectations go up higher. But I think on the surface, like I said, even with Tulane and South Florida also having new coaches, so they got some changes, a lot of new coaches in the American Conference. I think that's a really tough first year for Charles Huff as the Memphis head coach.
Yeah, no, it's a good point by you. With a entirely new coaching staff, a pretty much new roster, we barely know anything about this team, let alone any of the other teams in the conference. So
exactly,
very early to tell. But just knowing what those teams are, yeah, I'm with you. It seems like a very, very tough schedule. But Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg. Greg Gaston joining us every single Thursday to talk Tigers, and a lot to get to. We didn't have time to get to the baseball team that got the 24-5 victory over Little Rock earlier this week. They're back at home this week, and that was their first road game of the season, but they're back at home starting tomorrow against Jacksonville State, 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Saturday at 2 o'clock, and then Sunday at 1 o'clock. All over at FedEx Park, Avron Fogelman Field. But you can watch those games on ESPN Plus. I don't know if Greg will be on the broadcast for any of those three games. I know he helps out with a lot of those broadcasts. Yeah, I hope so too. I love listening to Greg on those baseball games. But the interesting news from Jason Munns that 3 guys listed as questionable, but according to him, at least one of those guys will not play tonight.
Surely we have an idea of who, right? It's the guy who's day-to-day with an injury.
I mean, I would assume.
But it's just interesting to pose it that way.
I don't know, because I could also see. I really don't know.
And he did say at least one of them won't play.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that just one won't play.
So that means at least one of those guys, one of those 3, will not suit up. It could be more, but it will not be less than one. So what that tells me is either one, and Jason Munns covers the team better than anybody and has great sources and is very much in the know. So that either tells me he got kind of the scoop that this guy isn't playing tonight. He's going to be listed as questionable. He's not playing tonight. Mm-hmm. Or, well, no, that really is the only option. I was about to say, because I'm so used to it. Listen, hear me out first, because I'm so used to a 6 or 7 o'clock game.
Right.
Like, Jason gets there so early every game. He's there the moment he can get in there. He's there. Maybe he saw one of these guys in a boot or one of them in a cast or something like that, and he's like, yeah, that guy's definitely not playing tonight. But that game's at 8 o'clock. He's not down there yet.
Well, just because he's in a boot doesn't mean he's not playing.
That is true.
Darius Acuff was in a boot for 2 days before he dropped a 49-piece against Alabama.
True. So we'll have to see. It's like a game of Clue or something where we now have to.
I'm kind of interested in this now.
Have to wait and see.
I mean, not that I wasn't before, but
yeah, but no, I mean, it definitely now you wonder which one of those 3 is going to be out, and if it's more, certainly not going to be less. But
good promo for the game.
I guess so. It's certainly a promo. I don't know how good of it is.
Yeah, well, it's keeping us intrigued.
Before we get to our break, I need to remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsor. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out those brand new models like the Range Rover Sport, the Range Rover Velar, and the Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit, leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology, enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. It's available in multiple models to fit any of your needs, and the Defender is built for the modern explorer. And Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to JaguarBluffCity.com. Head out there, test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince, for Bluff City Jaguar. Let's get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Not only can you listen to your favorite shows on Sports 56, you can also watch video of the shows live on Twitter and YouTube. Watch and listen every day
at Sports 56 WHBQ. Your home is your best investment, so why not make it the best it can be with help from Gates Lumber? Start with your front door, serving 2 purposes, curb appeal and security. Gates has solid construction doors built for security, durability, and beauty. See and compare wood, steel, and fiberglass options side by side at Gates Showroom. It's easier to choose when you can see and touch real doors with real assistance from knowledgeable staff helping you choose the right door for your home and budget. So don't just replace your door, upgrade your protection, and Gates Lumber is the right choice. Family owned and operated, serving you for over 100 years with free estimates, free delivery, competitive prices, and quality products. Call 901-942-3201, go to gateslumber.com, or come by their showroom, 1253 South Bellevue Boulevard. Gates Lumber, celebrating over 100 years with a passion for craftsmanship since 1920.
Unlock your new go-to spot, Codes Dispensary in Steele, Missouri, just over an hour from Memphis. When you're ready for a legal, reliable option, they're right up the road. Explore the full menu of top-shelf products in-store and online. Short on time? Order ahead and cruise through the drive-thru for a quick pickup. Stack rewards while you stock up with Club Codes. Earn points for every dollar spent. Codes Dispensary, now open in Steele, Missouri. Supreme Cannabis, that's worth the drive. Learn more at CodesDispensary.com. That's CodesDispensary.com.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With over 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
This traffic report brought to you by City Center Liquor just off Highway 70 in Lakeland. Local, friendly, and always fully stocked. For a 5% discount, tell them Sports 56 sent you.
Sports 56 traffic.
Well, good evening. See that heavy traffic right now in a couple of spots, especially over here on 40 eastbound from Sycamore View Road all the way out past Germantown Parkway. It's heavy headed out towards Fayette County. It's picked up pretty good south of Memphis. Been on and off today with radar down through there, so be careful. We're not out of the woods yet. On 55 south of Memphis with some radar down through DeSoto County. Hey, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital is leading the way the world understands, treats, and defeats childhood cancer. Please help the kids if you can. Log on to stjude.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
The best deal on that new Chevy Silverado you want is right there in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. You will love financing as low as 1.9. Go big with the Silverado HD 2500 and get 3.9 and no payments for 90 days. Same with the new 26 Equinox 3.9, no payment for 90 days. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. Military and first responders, you always get that extra $500 bonus. If you want certified, barely driven Chevys, All-Star is the place to be. Come check out the huge, and I'm talking gigantic selection of certified Chevys and the hottest pre-owns you can find anywhere in the same place in our area. Tahoe, Suburbans, Traverse with third row seat, and yes, Silverados. If you got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star in Olive Branch and get the most money back for it, whether you bought it there or not. Together, let's drive down Highway 78 to All-Star in Olive Branch, where all the Chevys are, where all the deals are. For more information, you can always go to allstarautogroup.com. sportstime.com.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you as we got a little bit less than 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending, and what's trending right now is the Scouting Combine. So, Landon, you are our reporter on the Combine. What's going on over there?
Sonny Styles just hit a 43.5 U vertical.
Wow.
That's
Sonny.
Insane. That is really, really good. Not a lot of like big name news being reported on for a lot of these things. It's just been kind of trickling in and out throughout the news. I think the biggest news that's a lot of people are talking about right now is Anthony Richardson being permitted to seek a trade. Other than that, my big number was two of the other kind of outliers of what's going on right now. I guess everything else is just kind of, reverting back to form for these players trying to get their way into the NFL.
Slowly getting more and more information out there. I've seen a lot of talk today about Caleb Downs. I think he's making the rounds today, talking to people. Well, I have some buddies that are Titans fans, and they were... Hey. Well, yes, I have multiple buddies that are Titans fans. You were not involved with this conversation.
Yeah, we're not buddies.
I'm not even like that. But they were talking about the idea of Caleb Downs being taken by the Tennessee Titans.
I'd love it.
Okay.
Reason being is right now, especially Xavier Woods just being cut leaves Amani Hooker, who has been with the Titans for a long time. He's been one of the more consistent. Didn't really have like a stellar year last year, but he's been one of those consistent guys on defense. But getting any kind of help like that, I think for me personally, I would more search for cornerbacks. Kind of what I mentioned in my not top story of the day, especially because I'm still kind of scratching my head as to what the Titans' plans were of getting rid of their young cornerbacks that they had. Jarvis, or no, not Brown. No, was it Brownlee? They traded him to the Jets.
I think it might
have been Jarvis Brownlee, I think. Yeah. They traded him over. Young guy was doing really, really incredible. Roger McCreary was doing really, really great for the Titans in the secondary as well, and traded both of those guys away. It's one of those moments where you kind of have to take a step back and go like, well, I'm not in their front office, so I don't really know what the game plan is there. But your number one cornerback, who has barely played any games for the Titans right now, L'Jarius Sneed, who's either always hurt or doing whatever he's doing, and even when he's out on the field, he's not playing that great. And definitely up for discussion to cut him, which leaves the Titans with really no options at cornerback. So I think addressing the DB problem is definitely bigger than I would say a safety problem. So given the choices, if they remain at that number 4 spot, I think you go definitely more in the direction of a defensive end edge rusher or an outside linebacker or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, certainly a lot of options, and I think we talked about it yesterday. There are a lot of areas where the Titans need improvement.
What about your Cowboys? Anybody you got an eye on? You have 2 first-round picks, so there's some things on defense that you could address with that.
Sure, I'll be completely honest with you. I haven't even really started looking at mock drafts and different things like that. Like I couldn't even tell you.
I believe you have. I don't remember where your first pick is. I know you have pick 20. Though.
Okay, and then the other one's like in the teens. I think
so.
So yeah,
it's kind of. Well, it's definitely not back to back, but it's close. Actually. Let me just pull it up.
Yeah, I'll be very honest. Like I have not looked much. I was planning on like kind of this weekend once the combine was really ramped up to start paying attention to some of that stuff. Like you said, I know they have 2 first-round picks. I have no idea what they're going to do with either of them. I would assume something defensively.
I would say you cash both of those in.
Yeah.
Because your offense has not been your issue.
No.
You have picked 12 and 20.
Okay. Do you have a mock draft in front of you?
Nope.
Let's pull up a mock draft.
Let's look at an NFL mock draft.
Because I don't even know who would be in that range.
Yeah, I'm not sure too. Especially because this year it's just not very top heavy.
Yeah. So I'm looking at one on The Athletic. They have the Cowboys taking Teldrick Falk from Auburn, the edge rusher, at 12. And then at 20, Brandon Sissy, the cornerback from South Carolina, or Cisse. It could be Cisse.
Let's see what Fox
certainly could use a
Sports
corner.
says.
Certainly could use an edge rusher.
Speaking of which, Fox Sports has number 12 Dallas Cowboys taking Sonny Styles, outside linebacker from Ohio State. You know you can jump.
I'd be fine with that. The Athletic has him at 15, so they have him still on the board.
Going to the Buccaneers.
At 12. So I don't know.
Not bad.
I think just looking at this mock draft, it feels very very defense heavy in the first round.
I think it will be.
You look at the top, Reuben Bain and Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs and David Bailey.
Yeah, David Bailey.
McCoy, Jermon McCoy from Tennessee, and Delaney from LSU. It looks like a ton of Peter Woods. It looks like a lot of defensive guys going in the first round. So I guess that means if you want to see some of these guys and how they test and everything, in case you don't know the combine schedule, today, defensive linemen and linebackers. Tomorrow, defensive backs and tight ends. Saturday, quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, and then Sunday, they'll wrap it up with the offensive linemen. And a reminder, 2 Tigers participating in the combine on the offensive line.
Both offensive linemen.
Yeah, they'll go on Sunday, so that will be a lot of fun to watch. And I think the combine is really my kind of weekend of, all right, it's time to start thinking about the NFL draft and looking at the future for my team or whatever team out there.
Right.
So I think I'll start getting into that. Certainly curious about the quarterbacks and throwing. I'll probably watch a lot of that on Saturday, kind of keep an eye on how these guys, who throws, what they look like, how they run, how they measure, all of that stuff with the quarterbacks will be a big, big talking point. Have you thought any more about maybe places that Anthony Richardson could fit?
If I'm looking at kind of what all of these teams need to be addressed, I think it'd be safe to say he's definitely looking at a backup role, right? Mm-hmm. Backup QB role somewhere.
So I just found a list, top 5 best trade fits.
Okay.
Whew. Number 5, the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, again, all of these are backup roles.
Yeah, who's their backup right now? Isn't it like Tyrod Taylor, I think? Or am I thinking too far back?
Trey Lance. All this says Trey Lance.
Oh, Trey Lance.
Free agent. So I'm guessing he was QB2.
I guess he was. Yeah, I think he was.
So the Chargers.
Don't they still have DJ Uiagalelei?
Maybe, but do you want him over? Would you have him over?
No, I'm just surprised he's in the NFL.
Well, I guess that's true. Number 4, the Minnesota Vikings.
I actually did think about the Minnesota Vikings, but I don't know if you heard Darian and I's take a little bit back, and you may not like it, but we're just going to say it anyways. We were thinking about the future for Dak since he's kind of entering this veteran stage in his career right now, and kind of doing a...
Or are you saying the Cowboy? Are you about to say the Cowboys?
What?
I don't know. I'm sorry. We have breaking news, so I wasn't listening. All I heard was Dak Prescott.
This is way more important.
Finish what you were saying about Dak Prescott because I'm curious. I kind of zoned out trying to read this.
So what Matthew Stafford did going to the Rams and kind of getting them over that hump, we kind of saw that Dak could possibly be that landing spot in Minnesota.
Interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. Okay, I'm going to run through these real quick, and then we got to get to this news. 3 Cleveland Browns, which is crazy. I would love for him to go to Cleveland. I mean, what a mess that would be in the quarterback room. Los Angeles Rams, yeah, that would be crazy. Los Angeles Rams at 2. Number 1, the Washington Commanders. Okay, Shams Charania is currently reporting that Kyle Anderson has agreed to a contract buyout with the Memphis Grizzlies and plans to sign with the Minnesota Timberwolves after clearing waivers, sources tell ESPN. Anderson spent 2 seasons with the Timberwolves from 2022 to 2024 and gets an opportunity to rejoin the West contenders. And immediately after that, Taj Gibson has agreed on a deal with the Memphis Grizzlies. At 40 years old, Gibson is back in the NBA for his 17th season, a big man regarded as a leader and professional over his career. Taj Gibson, 40 years old, rolling out there with the
we
tanking
need veteran
Grizzlies.
presence, right?
Holy cow.
Doesn't get more veteran than that.
Wow. That is insane. Because I was going to shift gears to the Grizzlies because their player availability report came out earlier when we were talking with Greg, and I didn't want to interrupt Greg to talk about that. And so that was going to be the Grizzlies news. And then I look down, and all I see is Taj Gibson, Memphis Grizzlies. And so that's when, again, I apologize for zoning you out. I started zoning you out because I was like, why is there a sentence in front of me that has Taj Gibson and the Grizzlies in the same sentence?
Because it's the most groundbreaking news of the day.
Yeah, I'm glad I see this. Now, people will note last night Kyle Anderson was ruled out for personal reasons. He's again on the status report for tomorrow night's game for personal reasons. Kind of the same with guys being out. Ty Jerome doubtful for tomorrow night's game against the Dallas Mavericks. But we need to get to our final break of the day, and when we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Mo's Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Corky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgos. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef, and she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or a steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meats. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper was more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with a perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at the Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948, the Rendezvous.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time, free gun rentals with purchase of ammo, and members lounge access. Top Gun, 2770 Witten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Hey, Marty McNate, I hear you're searching for drivers wanted at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown.
We are, Randy. We've got something for every driver on the road.
Well, I can't wait to hear about it. Hit me.
How about sporty 2026 Jetta S, $277 a month?
That's a great deal. What else you got, McNate?
2026 Teos S, $327 a month.
Teos, $327 a month, and give me one more.
The Tiguan S, $355 a month.
Only $355 a month for Tiguan S.
We've got a ride for everyone at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown.
So if you want a great deal on Volkswagen, you know we Gossett.
So come see me, Marty McNate, at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at GossettVWG.com. And remember, your future's what you make it.
All 36 month lease, Jetta SM 104 280, MSRP 26426, Taos SMO 6162, MSRP 27011, Jetta TMW 5137, MSRP 25H20, Taos STM 108 191, MSRP 29101, Tiguan TMO 14510, MSRP 32585, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax on license with approved credit. See the complete details. Offer ends June 28, 26 dealers only.
Crunch Time is brought to you by Humdinger's Corporate Catering. Enjoy tacos made with crunchy slaw, grilled fish, and chicken, and the best taco sauce in town. Find out more, call Jenny Nash at 901-606-3172.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and We're just getting started.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight?
This is for all the biggest Crunch Time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Crunch time between the hedges.
The ball game is over, and Memphis has its first win in 16 tries, its first win ever against its fierce in-state rival Tennessee.
Goodbye!
It's obviously Crunch Time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Crunch Time is brought to you by Moe's Southwest Grill. Need catering? Moe's Taco Truck is always ready to cater for you. Just give Jenny Nash a call, 901-606-3172. Moe's.com is your go-to for all your taco Crunch Time emergencies. Well, what I learned today, and I believe it was our friend John Varlas who broke the news yesterday over at the Daily Memphian that Joe Tomek is stepping down from his position as the executive director of the FedEx St. Jude Championship. He's heading over to Australia to do the same role, executive director of the 2028 President's Cup,
going down under,
which is in Australia. That's right. And so he's going to step down. His last day is tomorrow. He was actually on. If you want to hear from him, Joe Tomek has always been fantastic to us on this show. He's been fantastic to this station. But he was in studio with Greg and Eli this morning. I believe it was the first segment of the second hour. I don't believe it's up at Featured Audio, but if you go to podcast, the very start of the second hour, you can hear the entire interview with Joe Tomek. And he talks a lot, not only about his future and going there and how, 2 years away from that President's Cup, and he says there's a lot of work to be done before then, but he talked a lot about where Memphis, FedEx St. Jude Championship, Southwind, where it all is right now, how he thinks his team has put it in a great spot for whoever comes next. That he said that's what made him feel really comfortable about making the decision to step down. He thinks they're in a great spot. He doesn't know what's coming, but he does think Memphis, the relationship with FedEx, that it's in a really good spot in the future for the PGA Tour. So it's a lot of uncertainty. We'll see, but I got to congratulate Joe Tomek on the great time here in Memphis, and sounds like going to be a lot of fun in Australia.
Yeah, for sure. Very much earned and very much deserved for him. I actually learned a couple things today. One, the South Carolina Gamecocks kind of had a very interesting start to their spring practices and whatnot. They began, I think this happened a day ago, by playing a ginormous game of hide and go seek in their practice facility. I think one of their new coordinators, or maybe their strength and conditioning coach, said, hey, it's time to stop acting like children, and in classic sarcastic fashion said, we're going to play a giant game of hide and go seek where the defense would go and try to find the offense who got a 3-minute head start and hide anywhere they wanted in the practice facility. So having some fun there. Hopefully that just adds to the team camaraderie. It looked like they had a lot of fun with that too. But another thing I learned today is that the NCAA has now mandated that players must cover up their skin from the waist down, which is similar to what the NFL does. So now new rules coming into really solidifying more of college football being more just like a minor league when it comes to the NFL. So now long sleeves will be the norm, and long socks will be the norm for college football.
Yeah, definitely interesting stuff there. What I could have done without, I'll be quick with it. The shooting performance in the second half for St. John's last night, 72-40, the final score. St. John's went the final 17-28 without a made field goal, so just not great stuff there.
Yeah, pretty bad. What I could have done without today, speaking of the scouting combine, caught on camera today, head coach for the New York Jets, Aaron Glenn, was seen sleeping on camera, shockingly woke up, and that's a bad look for the Jets.
Not a great look at all. We're beaming tonight.
You can go ahead and beam me to the FedEx Forum. Got to see these Tigers get a win under their belt, and hopefully they can get it done over a very overconfident Wichita team.
Yeah, Tigers need a win. I think that's the place to beam. We also got some good NBA games tonight. Rockets and Magic on Prime should be a fun one. So a lot to watch. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of mid-major games tonight. I think great basketball. You should go watch them. I think they're going to be some fun games tonight in college basketball. But all eyes will be on Tigers and Wichita State 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN2. Some NBA games as well. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.